Chapter 3357. Submit to me. Brat, hand him over. The old Shang clan leader's son immediately walked towards Lin Ling and the others. His eyes were extremely cold, and even contained a hint of killing intent. It was these few pieces of trash that almost caused Xueqi to vent his anger on them. Now, these pieces of trash still had the nerve to come back? He was courting death. Let me remind you that Xiaoyu is my daughter. Not to mention handing her over, even if she loses a single strand of hair, your caravan will be buried with her. At this moment, Lin Ling stopped, stared at the burly man and sneered. Shameless boasting. Mo Gulin roared. These people were about to die, but they still dared to be stubborn. He stomped his feet on the ground, causing the ground to crack. Scales appeared all over his body as he reached out to grab Xiaoyu. Crash! As he moved out, the hot wind seemed to have been swept away, causing the large merchant group to cheer repeatedly. Mo Gulin was the #1 warrior of the large merchant group. His strength was indeed formidable. Bang! His fist also landed on Lin Ling's head, raising a cloud of dust. Lin Ling! Amo Jia, Amo Lin, and the others immediately shouted. Lin Ling was dead for sure after being hit by the Mogulin. Ha ha ha, we can't. Mo Gulin maintained his posture of punching out, but he laughed excitedly. Then, he retracted his fist and tried to grab Xiaoyu. However, to his surprise, the little girl beside him was just looking at him calmly. Moreover, the old man and the youth beside her were also looking at him calmly. These people were actually not afraid? Mo Gulin was surprised. You'd better not touch her. Otherwise, you'll know how to write the word death. At this moment, a cold voice sounded in front of him. The caravan instantly fell silent. Everyone saw that the thin young man was standing there quietly, as if he wasn't injured at all. Some people even noticed that he didn't even take a step back. He could be said to be completely unscathed. However, Mo Gulin possessed the power of 6 Shima. How is this possible? The arrogant smile on Mo Gulin's face disappeared. In its place was a wave of shock. Boom! He punched out again, smashing onto Lin Ling's chest, causing the earth to tremble slightly, and dust flew into the air. However, under the watchful eyes of the crowd, Lin Ling did not take even half a step back. He only stared coldly at Mo Gulin. This left everyone, including Mo Gulin, dumbfounded. Because Lin Ling clearly didn't have Shimo's power, but how could he not die? It seems like you've turned a deaf ear to everything I've said. Lin Ling continued to stare at Mo Gulin as he spoke coldly. That gaze finally caused Mo Gulin's heart to tremble violently. Although he did not know what had happened, he felt that this young man was very frightening. Since you want me to die so badly, then I'll send you to hell. Lin Ling stretched out his palm and gently slapped out. That palm strike caused Mo Gulin's expression to change drastically, and he hurriedly retreated. However, with his strength, if Lin Ling wanted to kill him, how could he escape? Bang! The sound of a watermelon shattering rang out. Under countless gazes, Mo Gulin's head exploded from Lin Ling's palm strike. Blood and brain matter splattered everywhere. Ah! After a moment of silence, cries of alarm rang out from the large caravan. They never thought that this skinny young man would be so powerful that he could kill Mo Gulin with a single blow. Mo Gulin had previously thrown 2 punches, but the young man was unscathed. The difference between them was too great. Who was this young man? If they knew that not only did Lin Ling look down on Mo Gulin, but he also looked down on Xueqi, who knows how they would feel then? He's that powerful? At this moment, the members of the Amoza caravan felt that everything was unreal. After all, Lin Ling had always been by their side. They simply could not feel that Lin Ling was that powerful. What a good-for-nothing. Old merchant leader. I'll give you a chance. Capture that little girl. Otherwise, all of you will die. Lord Lion Lin continued to roar with laughter, as if he was not worried at all. Du Kening and the rest immediately shook their heads. This leader of the Xueqi was also a good-for-nothing. He simply could not see through Lord Lion Lin's power. Go, go, go. Capture that little girl. Hearing Lord Lion Lin's words, old merchant leader's heart immediately trembled. Although he was surprised by Lin Ling's power, he was clearly more afraid of Lord Lion Lin. Old merchant leader. Let me. A man who was 2 meters tall and wielded a giant hammer walked out. He was also a leader of the caravan. Although he was not the strongest warrior of the large caravan, He was extremely experienced in battle. "Ah Taizhun, how dare you attack?" Emoza immediately roared. As a fellow leader, he naturally knew how powerful the man was. Unfortunately, the man only sneered at him and ignored him. Rumble! The man dragged the giant hammer and pounced towards Lin Ling. The seemingly giant hammer was as light as a sword in his hand. This also showed how powerful he was. Howling winds swept across the sky. Above Lin Ling's head, a giant hammer came crashing down ferociously. Speed. Ah Tieshan's speed was even faster than Mo Gulin's. In addition, with such a heavy hammer, if he was hit, he would be seriously injured even if he did not die. However, as the giant hammer got closer and closer to Lin Ling disappeared. When he reappeared, he was already above Ah Tieshan's head. A palm gently slapped down from the sky. This change undoubtedly shocked the large caravan. That thin and weak youth was also so fast? Even Du Kening and Broken Sword were secretly surprised. Because in this world, Jie Yuan was greatly suppressed, so even if they were to face such a warrior, they might not be able to win. However, Lin Ling easily dealt with the enemy. Bang! It was still a light palm, but it carried a terrifying power that was difficult to detect. Boom! Ah Tieshan's head exploded. Moreover, the palm did not stop. It landed on the giant hammer and actually smashed it, shocking everyone. Everyone was stunned. Although Mo Gulin was stronger, he lacked battle experience. Therefore, it was understandable that he had lost. However, Ah Taizhan had been the leader of the caravan. He had probably fought thousands of battles, big and small, but he had still been smashed to death by a single palm. This time, not only the large caravan, but even Emoza and the rest could sense how terrifying Lin Ling was. Such ants, no matter how many of them come, will die. Lin Ling's body appeared once again. With his hands behind his back, he looked indifferently at the large caravan. Plop! The old merchant leader was so frightened that he fell to the ground. His face was pale. At this moment, his heart was pounding like thunder. He had actually sent people to monitor such an expert. Was he crazy? You have some ability. Now, I'll give you a chance. Submit to me and hand over that little girl, and I'll spare your life. However, at this moment, Lord Lion Lin smiled faintly. He seemed to have taken a liking to Lin Ling and wanted Lin Ling to be his subordinate. After all, it was rare to meet such a powerful warrior. Submit to you? You think you can do that? Chapter 3358. Blood flowed like a river. It seems that if I don't teach you a lesson, you won't know what it means to be the god of the great earth Yuxamo. Men, capture him and humiliate that little girl. Lord Lion Forest laughed disdainfully and waved his right hand. Roar, roar, roar. The surrounding lions began to roar, their auras soaring into the sky. Although Lin Ling had defeated the warriors of the large merchant caravan, the large merchant caravan was as weak as an ant to them. Therefore, they did not think much of Lin Ling. Young man, you have some ability. However, come and test it out with me, Lai San. A lion with long fiery red fur pounced towards Lin Ling. This guy actually possessed the power of Kixamo. Of course, this was also borrowing the power of the lion. At this moment, the lion was like a huge bull that wanted to smash Lin Ling to death. Wherever he passed, all the rocks were smashed apart. It was terrifying. The most shocking thing was that he was charging towards Lin Ling. If Lin Ling dodged, then Xiao Yu and the rest behind Lin Ling would definitely suffer. This showed how vicious this person was. He was forcing Lin Ling to take his attack. However, Lin Ling still had his hands behind his back and did not move. Instead, he gently extended his palm. This shocked everyone. Lin Ling, what was he doing? Boom! At the same time, the lion brought the strong warrior and crashed into Lin Ling, causing a violent shockwave. However, when the dust settled, everyone saw that Lin Ling was still standing quietly. His palm was still extended and he blocked the lion with his palm. Moreover, he did not retreat at all. Looking at the 5-meter-tall lion, its head was lowered as it resisted Lin Ling's palm. Its 4 limbs were galloping, but it could not move Lin Ling at all. Die, beast! Lin Ling looked at the lion indifferently and made the huge lion look at him. The lion actually began to tremble. Boom! Lin Ling punched out, and it was as if he had smashed apart a meteor. Under countless gazes, The lion and the expert on its back were actually blasted apart with a single punch. Flesh and blood splattered everywhere, shocking the heavens and earth. Everyone in the caravan was so frightened that they fell to the ground. Even the people in Xueqi felt their hearts pounding wildly. Kill him. Lord Lion Forest finally realized that this young man was somewhat extraordinary. Bang bang bang. The surrounding lions began to gallop. Hundreds of lions weaved back and forth, trampling a large number of people to death. They swept up the dust and surrounded Lin Ling. Kill! Earth-shattering noises rang out as the lions roared incessantly. They did not believe that a mere youth could stop their lion legion. Rumble! At the center, dust soared into the sky. It could be called a catastrophe. The people of the caravan had no doubt that the young man had been stomped into meat paste. At this moment, in the dust, the lions were extremely fast. However, Lin Ling was even faster. I submit to all of you. Beside one of the lions, the young man floated in the air, following closely behind him. The eyes of the person on the lion trembled fiercely. Could it be that this young man could fly? Boom! Without waiting for him to speak, Lin Ling killed both the man and the lion with a single punch. You want to capture Xueqi? The cold voice rang out again. Flesh and blood splattered everywhere, and another lion was killed. Then, an illusion appeared. It was the illusion god's true inheritance. Lin Ling realized that this world suppressed realm essence, but it did not suppress soul power. I killed him. Someone let out a happy voice because the lion he was sitting on tore Lin Ling apart. This made him very excited. You're still far from it. However, before this laughter could fade, a palm slammed down from above that person's head. With a boom, both the man and the lion were turned into meat paste. Lin Ling did not use any methods at all. He just relied on his pair of fists to destroy this group of lions in a simple and crude manner. The dust was still rolling. Outside the dust, everyone stared at the center, not knowing what was happening inside. Is that young man still alive? Nonsense. He's surrounded by the lion core. He's definitely dead. The people of the caravan whispered. However, just as they finished speaking, the rumbling in the dust stopped. Moreover, a slender figure slowly walked out from the dust. When it gradually became clear, people saw that it was a delicate and handsome young man. When the dust fell, they saw that there was a large lump of meat paste in the center, and blood flowed like a river. The lion core was destroyed by a single person. Terror began to spread throughout the entire space. Everyone's hearts were beating like drums. Old Shang, Amoza, and the others, their faces were incomparably pale. This was because they never expected Lin Ling to be so powerful. Especially old Shang. His face was filled with fear. In order not to offend Xueqi, he sacrificed Amoza's daughter and Lin Ling's daughter. However, he now realized that he had offended another powerful person. Moreover, this powerful person was originally by their side. Perhaps he was helping them, but they had personally pushed this powerful person out, creating a hostile situation. At this moment, his heart was filled with intense regret. What did you just say? Lin Ling did not know what the crowd was thinking. Even if he knew, he would not care. Instead, he walked towards Lord Lion Lin. Lord Lion Lin was still sitting on the largest lion, but he did not dare to move. His eyes were wide open. The lion he was sitting on was trembling at this moment. Previously, he was arrogant and proud of Xueqi, wanting Lin Ling to submit to him. However, now, he had no one by his side. Everyone was killed by Lin Ling. He had become a commander without an army. How could he still be imposing? I didn't say anything. Even though he was Xueqi's third young master, at this moment, his heart was filled with fear. This was because he had never seen such a ferocious warrior. You previously said that you wanted me to submit to you. Lin Ling continued to walk forward, but every step he took felt like he was stepping on Lord Lion Lin's heart. The crowd could clearly see that the lion that Lord Lion Lin was sitting on had fallen to the ground. It had submitted to him. You previously said that you wanted to capture Xueqi. Lin Ling's expression was calm, but his eyes revealed an ominous glint. It was an ominous glint that was even more terrifying than the demon desert. These voices and this gaze made Lord Lion Lin even more flustered. If he had known that this young man was so powerful, he would not have come to this large caravan. My father is the king of lions. Our tribe has the dragon king behind us. His body was trembling continuously, but he quickly spoke. Perhaps he wanted to use his backing to make Lin Ling fear him. This was also to bolster his own courage. Then let me ask you, where is the Dragon King? Lin Ling had already arrived in front of the tall lion. He lifted his head and looked at Lord Lion Lin. However, Lord Lion Lin and his mount did not have any intention of resisting. I don't know. How would I know about the Dragon King? Lord Lion Lin replied. Chapter 3359. 3 Breaths of Time to Escape. However, Lord Xuelong knew that the calmer the tone, the more murderous it was. He kept shaking his head. I really don't know. Only my father knows. If you dare to kill me, Lord Xuelong will flatten this place. Very well, I'll wait for your father. Lin Ling finally raised his head. His eyes were filled with killing intent. His voice shook the entire caravan and frightened Lord Lion Forest. This was because Lin Ling seemed to be saying that he had killed Lord Lion Forest, so his father should be coming. Lord Lion Forest finally realized that his backer, his courage, was completely useless against this delicate and pretty youth. He immediately roared, I admit that you are very powerful, but if you want to kill me, you might not succeed. As soon as he finished speaking, his head began to change. A mysterious power spread out, causing his head to become even bigger. His cold teeth flashed as he completely turned into a lion's head. Roar! He roared at the sky, and a deafening sound wave burst out. Puff! The people around felt as if they had been hit by something and immediately spat out a mouthful of blood, their faces pale. Looking at Lord Lion Forest again, his head had already turned into 2 lion heads. Borrowing the roar from before, he ran wildly towards the ground, wanting to escape from this place. Although his previous roar was extremely powerful, he still didn't dare to fight with Lin Ling. He only wanted to escape. At this moment, Lin Ling stood there quietly. His expression was calm, but there was a trace of surprise in the depths of his eyes, because he noticed that the roar from before actually carried a powerful soul energy impact. Moreover, there was a mysterious energy within it, and it seemed to be the energy of the gods. However, this divine force was not pure. Otherwise, Lin Ling would have been injured long ago. In this world, my realm essence is suppressed. Only my physical strength and soul force can display their might. Lin Ling also became more familiar with this world. What a powerful move. At this moment, everyone gradually recovered. Looking at Lord Lion Lin who was running away, their faces were filled with fear. Lin Ling! Amoza suddenly shouted because Lord Lion Forest was about to escape. If he escaped, he would definitely bring the Lion King over. No need to shout. He's already injured. Not far away, old Shang Chong shook his head. They were so far away but they were injured, let alone Lin Ling. Moreover, even if Lin Ling was not injured, what could he do? Lord Lion Forest had already fled far, far away. Lin Ling could do nothing. One. But at this time, Lin Ling let out a soft sound from the corners of his mouth. 1. Everyone was puzzled. What was the meaning of this? 2. Lin Ling said again. He's counting again? Many people finally realized that Lin Ling seemed to be counting off. But why was he counting off? 3. Lin Ling finally raised his eyes and looked coldly in front of him. An invisible wind suddenly blew. When the crowd reacted, they realized that Lin Ling had disappeared. There was only a gust of wind at the place where he was standing. It was as if he had never been there. Run. Tell father immediately and let father devour him. At this moment, in front of the red soil, Lord Lion Forest had transformed into a 2-headed lion and was galloping on the ground. From afar, he looked like the king of beasts. However, this king of beasts looked a little panicked. I gave you 3 breaths of time and you only escaped here. How disappointing. Just as Lord Lion Lin thought that he had escaped death, an indifferent voice rang out from above his head, causing his 2 lion heads to narrow their eyes. When he turned his head to look, he saw a young man with his hands behind his back in the sky above his head, slowly following him. That speed was actually slightly faster than his. At this moment, this man was looking at him like a god? At this moment, he was even more panicked. An emotion called fear shrouded his entire body. You don't have to say anything because this won't change the outcome. In the sky, Lin Ling said calmly. His entire body turned into a meteor and smashed into the ground. With a boom, Although Lord Lion Forest was running away, he could not block Lin Ling's punch. He was turned into a pile of meat paste and couldn't be more dead. You shouldn't have insulted my little you. Lin Ling swung his fists and strode towards the caravan. At this moment, the large merchant group was silent. Many people were even rubbing their eyes because Lin Ling had suddenly disappeared. It was as if he had turned into a gust of wind. When they finally reacted, they could only see a boom in front of them. Then, the huge Lord Lion Forest was turned into a pile of meat paste. On the contrary, the blue-robed young man slowly walked back. This meant that Lord Lion Forest was dead. He was killed by this mysterious young man. Most importantly, Lord Lion Forest had already escaped, but he still could not escape from the young man's punch. The lion core has been completely annihilated. Lin Ling is actually so powerful. Amoza looked at the young man walking back and shook his head continuously. He could not believe everything that had happened before his eyes. Not long ago, he met a young master in Yuxamo. The young master was lost. At that time, he thought that the young master was fearless because he did not know anything and dared to bring a few people to Yuxamo. Out of sympathy, he planned to bring the young master away from this troublesome place. But now, he finally understood why the young master dared to come to Yuxamo. It was not because he was ignorant but because he was powerful. The young master's strength is unfathomable. Even Du Kening was inwardly surprised. This world's boundary essence was suppressed. So when the lion roared, if it was him, he would definitely be injured. But Lin Ling was still fine. He heard that besides boundary essence, young master Lin Ling was also extremely powerful in other areas. Today, he finally believed it. Lin Ling, you killed them all? After Lin Ling returned, the large merchant group was still silent. Only Amoza dared to speak. He still could not believe what had happened before his eyes. Didn't you see it? Lin Ling smiled. I did see it. Amoza smiled bitterly and hurriedly said, Lord Lion Lin is dead. The Lion King will definitely bring Shilong here. Lin Ling, you should leave quickly. After all, the Lion King is one of the tribes under the Dragon King. Hearing this, Lin Ling shook his head. He had always been curious about the Dragon King. So, it was even more impossible for him to leave. Amoza, shut up. But at this moment, the old merchant leader roared angrily. Then, he looked at Lin Ling and bowed. With a smile he said, Lord Lin Ling, I have offended you previously. Now that the Lion King will definitely bring the warriors of the tribe here, I hope that Lord Lin Ling will take responsibility for what you did. You must stop the Lion King. Don't leave. Obviously, he was afraid that if Lin Ling escaped, the Shilong would vent his anger on the large merchant group. That's right, that's right. Lord Lin Ling, as a warrior, you can't escape. A warrior who escapes will be abandoned by the gods for the rest of his life. Chapter 3360. The Lion King has arrived. Of course I won't leave. Unfortunately, how could they hide their intentions from Lin Ling? Hence, Lin Ling nodded because he had no intention of leaving in the first place. Let's go. We'll wait for the Lion King outside the caravan. Following that, Lin Ling could not be bothered to say anything else. He led Xiaoyu and Amoza's caravan away. Everyone in the merchant group became nervous because they were deeply afraid that Lin Ling would flee. However, they didn't dare stop Lin Ling, so they could only watch as Lin Ling and the others left. Fortunately, they noticed that Lin Ling's group hadn't gone far and had stayed a short distance away. Good, good, good. The old merchant leader smiled in satisfaction. He thought that as long as Shilong arrives, Lin Ling would be able to stop them. Even if he could not stop them, they could still push all the blame onto Lin Ling. Unknowingly, evening came quietly. The red earth sky seemed to have been dyed red with blood. Amoza's caravan was camped under a red earth pillar not far from the caravan. They were roasting meat, drinking wine, and enjoying this hard-won time. Of course, their gazes would occasionally turn towards the handsome man with a hint of worship in their eyes. To be able to defeat the Lion Legion all by himself, Lord Lin Ling must have the 7 Shima's power. Unfortunately, they did not know that according to their calculations, Lin Ling had a total of 12 Shima's power. In addition to the fusion of his 5 great dantians, his strength was estimated to be 14 Shima's power. Although this world suppressed Jie Yuan was not completely useless. When the 5 great dantians fused together, he still had two Shima's power. Soul force. Lord Shirlin's soul force was not weak. Lin Ling muttered to himself as he sat by the fire and looked at the fragrant meat being roasted. Beside him, Xiao Yu and Rmo Lin were also staring at the barbecued meat. Their faces were covered in sweat, but they ignored it and continued to stare at the barbecued meat. It was as if they could not wait for the delicious meat. Just as the barbecue was done, a cloud of dust finally appeared on the horizon. It was as if a wave was crashing towards them. The deafening sound of the wave caused the earth to boil. At this moment, everyone stopped what they were doing. Their gazes were fixed in the distance, and their moods were instantly stifled. Shilong was finally here. Roar! Even though they were far away, everyone could hear an earth-shattering lion's roar. This caused the hearts of the people in the caravan to drop to the bottom. Similarly, the people of the Amoza caravan were trembling. They subconsciously looked at Lin Ling. Even now, they were not sure if Lin Ling could stop the Lion King. However, Lin Ling was still eating his barbecued meat, as if he didn't notice the explosion in front of him. Kill! Kill! As time passed, the experts of the Shilong arrived. They rode their lions and charged towards the caravan. They did not say much. They only wanted to kill all of Yaximo. The caravan immediately cried out. They could not stop the Shilong and could only watch as they were slaughtered. The old merchant leader's face was as pale as paper. He had a few warriors block the experts in front of him. Then he ran towards Lin Ling. Lord Lin Ling, save us. The old merchant leader's voice came from afar. Not long after, he appeared in front of Lin Ling and the rest. Why? Lin Ling was still eating his barbecued meat and did not even look at the old merchant leader. The old merchant leader was stunned. Lin Ling asked why. Wasn't that nonsense? He did not dare to reprimand Lin Ling and hurriedly said, "The Lion King has brought the warriors of the tribe. He's here to kill you." "I know. However, if he wants to kill me, then so be it. Whether he can kill me or not, that will depend on his ability," Lin Ling said coldly. "But he's also killing our caravan." The old merchant leader stared at Lin Ling and became more and more anxious. "What does it have to do with me? If the Lion King wants to kill me, then he can come. If he wants to kill your caravan, then you can go and stop him. Isn't that enough?" Lin Ling said again. Ah! The old merchant leader's eyes widened. How could he stop the Lion King? Now get lost. Seeing the old merchant leader's shameless appearance, Lin Ling finally said coldly, "I'm not going. I can't watch the caravan die. Moreover, if I go back, I'll die too unless you kill me." The old merchant leader shook his head continuously as if he was going to throw caution to the wind. "Do you really think I don't dare? Or do you think you have any weight in my heart?" Lin Ling's eyes revealed a trace of murderous intent. He looked at the old merchant leader and his emotionless eyes made the old merchant leader's heart beat violently. He treated Lin Ling as his last hope. However, Lin Ling did not treat him as a friend. This was because when Lord Lion Lin came, the caravan did not treat Lin Ling as a friend either. They only wanted Lin Ling to die for them. Now, they treated Lin Ling as a friend. This was too shameless. "Get lost!" Lin Ling shouted angrily again. The old merchant leader let out a cry of horror and quickly ran away. At this moment, his heart was filled with endless regret. If he knew that Lin Ling was so strong, he would not have sacrificed Lin Ling and caused Lin Ling's dissatisfaction. Now, no one could help the caravan. Don't kill. I know who killed Lord Lion Lin, they're over there." The old merchant leader shouted as he ran. "Kill." At this moment, on the caravan's side, countless lions were still slaughtering. The leader was a man who was 5 meters tall, and he let out a cold roar. The Lion King. This was the leader of the Shilong. His head was full of sharp mane and he looked exactly like a lion. However, he was a lion with the head of a lion. "Over there." He let out a low voice and then waved his hand. "Kill everyone in the caravan. Leave no one alive." After saying that, he led a large number of lions and charged towards Lin Ling. "Leave no one alive." The old merchant leader sat on the ground with a thud. He knew that the caravan was finished today. It was all over. Roar! Just as he was thinking, a huge lion swallowed his head, causing blood to flow like a river on the ground. In the distance, the people of the Amoza caravan were trembling. Terrifying, too terrifying. Facing the Lion King's army, They simply could not muster up any strength to resist. However, at this moment, a person stood up beside them. It was Lin Ling. Lin Ling held a wine bowl in his hand and walked forward. Lord Lin Ling. Seeing Lin Ling stand up, Amoza and the rest were excited. Savage Sword and the rest also wanted to help Lin Ling, but they were rejected by Lin Ling because in this world, Savage Sword and the rest were not strong. Who killed my son? At this moment, a furious roar came from the front. It was filled with killing intent. If it's that useless lion, then I killed him. Chapter 3361. Against the Lion King. The Lion King had the power of 1,000 worlds. If this Lion King was placed in the outside world, he would be considered an incredible expert. After all, he did not have any world essence. If he cultivated world essence in the outside world, in addition to his own strength, he would definitely be extraordinary. It's you? Kill him. An angry voice came from the front. The Lion King also looked at Lin Ling. Not only was there killing intent in his eyes, there was also a hint of surprise. This was because this young man was not afraid of them and could still remain so calm. Senior, I will kill him. Father, I will do it. Beside the Lion King, 2 warriors ran out at this moment. They were both tall and mighty, with a magnificent aura. Go. The ancient Lion King also issued an order to his warriors. We will definitely take his life. The 2 Shurlong warriors placed their fists on their chests. Then, their bodies began to change. It was as if a large number of tentacles had extended out. These tentacles were invisible and extremely mysterious. The lions beneath them roared angrily and were forcibly torn apart by the invisible tentacles. Then, they fused into the bodies of the 2 warriors. At this moment, they, who originally had lion heads and human bodies, became even taller and more ferocious. Seeing this, Lin Ling's eyes lit up and he stopped in his tracks. What a strange method. He realized that the thing that tore apart the mounts seemed to be soul power. These people actually had soul power and were using it like this? This was because Lin Ling also sensed that the strength of the 2 warriors had reached the power of 900 worlds. With this kind of strength, just one person was enough to sweep away a large caravan. Brat, remember, the one who will kill you is by Simo. I am Lord Lion Mountain. You killed my brother, so I will torture you to death. I will tear off your flesh piece by piece. The 2 transformed into lions with 2 lion heads. Their auras were extremely tyrannical. With a pounce, the void seemed to shatter. Their strength and speed had clearly reached a very high level. As for the Shurlong people, they all stopped running. Riding on the lions, they sneered at this scene. They knew that the brat was going to be torn apart. Lin Ling continued to stand there, his gaze extremely calm as he slowly drew the tyrannical song sword. A dazzling sword appeared, and a wisp of demonic chi and murderous intent swam around the sword, causing the red earth to suddenly turn cold. The 2 people in front rushed over, and one of them narrowed his eyes. That sword gave him an extremely sharp feeling. Roar! He opened his huge mouth, wanting to swallow Lin Ling. That lion's mouth seemed to have the power to bite through a world. Clang! However, Lin Ling did not retreat or dodge. He just raised his sword. Let me chew your sword to pieces. The huge mouth had already arrived, mixed with the power of 900 worlds, but Lin Ling's sword also moved, bloody light flashed. The power of 1,000 worlds extended from his arm and reached the tyrannical song sword. This sword had followed Lin Ling and had killed countless people. Today, in this independent rainbow world, the pace of slaughter had arrived. Whoosh! The sword slashed out horizontally, revealing its sharpness. Under countless gazes, the huge lion seemed to be torn apart from its mouth. Finally, the entire lion's body was cut in half. Bang! The 2 halved corpses fell heavily on the ground, causing the surroundings to instantly become silent. It's your turn. Lin Ling's expression was still calm, but his eyes were incomparably cold. He held the sword with both hands and slashed down heavily. At this moment, Lord Lion Mountain's pupils trembled violently. This young man's sword was actually so powerful? Even the power of 900 worlds was cut down with a single slash? He finally wanted to retreat. He never expected that the person the caravan found from nowhere would be so powerful. Unfortunately, it was obviously too late to retreat now. Lin Ling's sword slashed down, and blood flowed like a river. The huge lion's body was cut in half, and Lin Ling walked over from within the lion's body. On both sides of the lion's body were the lion's corpse that slowly fell to the ground. Bang! When the dull sound fell, the people of Shilong felt a huge wave in their hearts. 2 slashes to kill the warrior of their tribe? His strength was beyond their imagination. Everyone, move out. The Lion King's expression became more serious, and he waved his hand again. Kill. All the lions moved out, pouncing towards Lin Ling, causing the mountains and rivers to collapse and the earth to shake. That terrifying scene caused a Moses caravan to tremble with fear. In the morning, Lin Ling destroyed the Lion Legion with a single punch. In the evening, Lin Ling wanted to use a single slash to kill the Lion Legion. This seemed impossible. However, to Lin Ling, this was not impossible. His sword was now even more dazzling, and his strength had increased to 1,200 worlds. Swoosh! The huge sword was like a rainbow, and with a single slash, 3 lions were cut in half. Fresh blood spilled from the sky, and before the blood spilled on the ground, Lin Ling attacked again. Another 2 lions were killed, and for a moment, blood flowed like a river. Lin Ling stepped forward, killing 10 lions with a single step. No one could stop him. In the sky, the setting sun was like blood, and on the ground, there was a rain of blood. The 2 scenes combined, forming a beautiful and boiling scene. So strong, it must be the strength of 12 Yuxamo. In the distance, the Lion King still did not move. His cold eyes looked at the youth under the setting sun, and he knew that he had underestimated this youth. Pa! The ground was filled with lion corpses, and blood was flowing. Light footsteps could be heard from the blood. Under the illumination of the setting sun, Lin Ling held his huge sword and walked towards the Lion King step by step. It's your turn. Who are you? The 2 of them looked at each other and asked casually. Who I am is not important. What is important is that you should know where the Dragon King is. Lin Ling said indifferently. This was also the reason why he stayed behind to wait for the Lion King. Defeat me and you will know. The Lion King placed his palm beside his mouth, and lightly licked it. His palm became huge, and his claws were extremely sharp, just like a lion's claw. Then you will definitely tell me. Lin Ling nodded. 120 world speed erupted, and with the huge sword in his hand, he slashed down from the sky. That sword slashed down from the sky, as if it was cutting the blood-red setting sun into 2. Boom! The Lion King raised his hand to block. His claws collided with the huge sword, and dazzling sparks blossomed. The strength of 12 Yuxamo is only a sigh. The Lion King looked at Lin Ling under the setting sun, and said indifferently. However, he was somewhat shocked in his heart. Only after clashing with Lin Ling did he know how strong this youth was. Is that so? Sigh. Lin Ling smiled, and without wasting any time, he raised his sword and slashed down again. Clang! The ground split open, but the Lion King still managed to block that sword. Lin Ling's sword continued to slash down, and he wanted to see how long the Lion King could block it. Boom! 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 On the desert, a man and a lion crazily clashed. Chapter 3362. The Power Brought by Soul Force. Although I only have the strength of 10 Jade Shima and you are stronger than me, my body is more powerful. If this continues, you won't be able to defeat me. On the contrary, when you are exhausted, I will be able to easily tear you apart. The Lion King was shocked by Lin Ling's strength, but he still sneered. Is that so? Lin Ling still said the same thing, but this time, he used the world origin of his 5 dantian. His sword had become even heavier. If placed in the 10,000 worlds, one sword could easily break 1,000 realms whirling expert. This was the strength of an absolute swordsman. What? Sensing Lin Ling's sword becoming stronger, the Lion King was shocked. The current you still dares to say those words? Lin Ling's strength gradually increased from 1,200 worlds to 1,400 worlds. Swoosh! The final sword, blood blossomed, and cut off the Lion King's arm. On the Emoza caravan side, everyone was shocked. He won. Lin Ling actually cut off the Lion King's arm. This was too unbelievable. Very good, you have injured me. At this moment, the Lion King looked at his severed arm on the ground. His voice turned deep and it was filled with rage. Where is the Dragon King? Lin Ling held his sword diagonally. His face was still cold.
This battle is not over yet.
The Lion King suddenly laughed. His laughter was very sinister and cold. At the same time, an indescribable strength spread out, as if invisible tentacles were growing, and these tentacles were bigger and thicker than the previous two. Soul Force. Lin Ling's brows suddenly furrowed. The Lion King was still laughing. Those invisible tentacles began to spread out, and the lion corpses on the ground flew over and merged with his body. At the same time, the powerful strength continued to stack, from 1,000 worlds to 1,500 worlds, surpassing Lin Ling's strength. Moreover, this did not stop, and finally, it reached 2,000 worlds. A huge monster also appeared. This monster had lion heads all over its body, and it was dripping with blood. It looked extremely terrifying. It was several hundred meters tall, like a mountain. This caused all of Amos's caravan to tremble, as if they had seen the end of the world. This was the true Lion King. No, he could be called a lion demon. Your end is here. The Lion King let out a hoarse voice. He moved. Although his body was huge, he was extremely agile. Clang! Lin Ling's eyes narrowed. He raised his sword to block, but he found a powerful force coming at him, causing him to almost lose his grip on his sword. Then there was a rumbling sound, and he was sent flying backwards, leaving a deep mark on the hard ground. You use your soul force like this? However, Lin Ling quickly stood up, wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth, and said indifferently, "The power I possess is not something you can understand." The Lion King roared at the sky and attacked again. In an instant, it arrived in front of Lin Ling. Its huge claws swept down in a simple and crude manner. Boom! However, at this time, the world-devouring beast began to appear behind Lin Ling. Its huge mouth made him transform into a monster. What? The Lion King was shocked. He found that the effect of his claw was much weaker than before, because the young man seemed to have transformed. Bang, bang, bang. Even so, Lin Ling was still retreating. What are you? The Lion King let out a shocked voice, but Lin Ling did not say a word. His face was still cold. If you don't say it, I will make you say it. The Lion King pounced on Lin Ling again, sweeping toward Lin Ling with great power. This time, the dragon god appeared behind Lin Ling, and it was a scene of two dragons soaring into the sky. One was the heavenly dragon protector, and the other was the grand serene wind dragon. After these two talents were displayed, Lin Ling's defense increased by a lot. Clang! The big sword and the claws clashed, and the ground instantly cracked. However, this time, Lin Ling did not retreat. The reason was that he had unleashed all three of his talents, increasing his strength by 1 point. Of course, if he could use Realm Essence, the Lion King would have been easily killed. Dragon, dragon, dragon. You are the Dragon King's bloodline. At this moment, the Lion King looked at Lin Ling in shock. His eyes were wide open. The more he fought, the more mysterious this young man became. He could not see through him at all. That is not the case. On the contrary, I am the Dragon King's enemy. Lin Ling raised his head and said coldly, and the Lion King kept shaking his head. He couldn't believe everything that was happening in front of him. However, his eyes soon became ice cold. Although he didn't know why this young man had the blood of Lord Dragon King, but in the vast land of Xueqi, there was only one Lord Dragon King. No other Dragon King could exist. Even if that is the case, so what? Dang! The Lion King unleashed all of his strength. He raised both of his palms up high and then stomped down heavily. With a rumbling sound, the pair of huge feet were blocked by Lin Ling's sword. However, the Lion King opened his huge lion mouth and bit the tyrannical Song sword. With a pull, a terrifying force erupted. The tyrannical Song sword left Lin Ling's hand and flew into the distance. Moreover, that huge force also caused Lin Ling's body to fly backward. He smashed into the ground and caused a huge wave of earth to rise. Ha ha ha, without a sword, how are you going to fight against me? The Lion King's morale was greatly boosted. He ran with all four of his limbs and once again pounced on Lin Ling. From afar, it looked like a god's mount was running wildly, causing the mountains and rivers to shatter. My lord! Du Ying and the others had been watching the battle. At this moment, they finally started to worry. Although the people of this world could not use boundary essence, their physical strength and that mysterious power were too strong. The Lion King arrived at the place where Lin Ling smashed down. He raised both of his legs up high as if he wanted to stomp on the ground and ruthlessly stomped down on the place where Lin Ling was. This stomp undoubtedly caused everyone's face to turn gloomy. They knew that Lin Ling was dead for sure. Boom! 2,000 boundary essence erupted. Cracks appeared on the ground. Then, with Lin Ling's location as the center, endless waves of earth rolled out. The people of the Emoza caravan were all sent flying backward. However, they still looked at Lin Ling's direction with worry. Lin Ling! Everyone was shouting. They did not know if Lin Ling could still be alive. I never thought that soul force could be used like this. However, at this moment, an indifferent voice came out from the rolling waves of earth. Everyone's pupils constricted. When they looked carefully, they discovered that Lin Ling had stood up at this moment. Moreover, both of his hands were supporting the sky. He actually relied on his 2 arms to block the Lion King's 2 huge claws. That thin and weak figure, under the illumination of the setting sun, was undoubtedly extremely dazzling. How is this possible? The Lion King let out a sound of disbelief. Because I also have soul force. Moreover, it has reached 8,000 levels. On the ground, Lin Ling raised his clear eyes and calmly said. His words caused the Lion King's body to tremble. He lowered his head and realized that Lin Ling had changed. He had also become like a monster. His skin was as black as the night sky. Moreover, a large amount of scales could be seen on his black skin. It seemed to be dragon armor. Moreover, his palms seemed to have turned into claws. Chapter 3363. Fusion Talent. And this form was the same as his Lion King form, using his soul force as a medium to fuse the external energy into his body. However, the Lion King had merged with other lions. As for Lin Ling, he seemed to have merged with the realm-swallowing beast, the Sky Dragon Protector, and the Great Netherwind Dragon. Most importantly, this method was learned from the Lion King. More importantly, Lin Ling's soul force is stronger than the Lion King's. For the Lion King, it was as if he saw the arrival of the Dragon King. This handsome young man was actually a god? A Dragon King of the Yuxamo continent? Thank you. At this moment, Lin Ling looked at the Lion King indifferently. However, the corners of his mouth curled up into a smile. He realized that by using soul force as a medium, he could actually fuse several great talents together. This kind of method probably didn't exist in Lin Ling's world. It was a fighting method unique to this world. And after fusing the 3 great talents, Lin Ling felt the power in his body surge out, giving him the illusion that he was a dragon god. Now I'll ask you one more time. Where is the Dragon King? Lin Ling was still calmly looking at the Lion King. His voice became hoarse. Ka. At the same time, he exerted a little force in his hands. The Lion King's huge claws produced the sound of bones breaking. The strength of this force had exceeded the range that he could withstand. Go east from the Demon Desert. The Lion King shouted anxiously. His eyes were filled with fear. At this point, he already regarded Lin Ling as the Dragon King. Thank you. Lin Ling nodded slightly. He swiped his pitch-black dragon claw forward, unleashing a force that surpassed the strength of 2,000 worlds. Swoosh! The sound of blood gushing out could be heard. Under the gaze of the Emoza caravan, the Lion King that was as huge as a mountain was torn into 2. Terrifying. One had to know that the Lion King was bigger than a mountain. And the person who tore it apart was only a half-human monster that looked like a black dragon. Blood sprinkled down like rain. Lin Ling bathed in the rain. At this moment, his heart was filled with a tyrannical and domineering aura. Brutal and ferocious, this came from the realm-swallowing beast. The unique and righteous came from the bloodline of the dragon god. After fusing the 3 talents together, he realized that he was about to turn into a monster. Soul force can actually be used like this. Lin Ling just stood there quietly. He allowed the blood to wash over him. His dark skin started to absorb the blood. This was the world-swallowing beast's swallowing talent. Most importantly, he discovered that the Lion King's method not only allowed him to fuse with the body of a monster beast, but it also allowed him to fuse with his innate talent. Moreover, according to the level of his innate talent, the strength of his soul force would determine his strength. I'm afraid the fusion of the 3 great innate gifts has given me the power of 3,000 worlds. A confident smile appeared on the corner of Lin Ling's mouth. If he fused with his innate talent, he would be able to defeat many saints with just his physical body. Time quietly passed. The blood on the ground gradually dried up. Most of it was absorbed by Lin Ling, and Lin Ling's skin started to return to normal. After that, he immediately felt tired. He realized that using his soul force as a medium to forcefully fuse with his innate talent consumed a lot of his soul force. To put it bluntly, his soul force was like an invisible arm that pulled the realm-swallowing beast and the dragon god's power over and fused them into Lin Ling's body. Young master! Young master! Seeing that Lin Ling had recovered, Doing and the others were overjoyed. As for Emoza and the others, their faces were pale. They looked at Lin Ling as if he was the god of the land of Yuxamo. Plop! Without any hesitation, they immediately knelt down. Their faces were full of reverence. Lin Ling had already recovered. When he saw this scene, he smiled bitterly and shook his head. Right now, he had become a tyrannical lion king. After that, he walked forward and helped Emoza and the others up. However, Emoza and the others were still full of reverence. They did not even dare to look at Lin Ling. Big brother Lin Ling. On the other hand, Amoolin was fearless because she did not know. She walked over and held Lin Ling's hand. To her, she did not know how scary the previous Lin Ling was. However, she knew that the previous Lin Ling had saved her. Xiaoyu's big brother was indeed amazing. Amoolin, big brother is leaving. From now on, you have to protect your father and the caravan. Lin Ling carried Amoolin, and Amoolin kissed Lin Ling on the cheek. She looked at Xiaoyu reluctantly. Seeing this, Lin Ling put Amoolin down. The two little girls' eyes were wet. Amoolin, I'll come and see you again. Xiaoyu, I'll come and see you too. The two little girls held hands and promised each other. Lin Ling was happy for their friendship. After pondering for a while, he took out some treasures to help Amoolin change her talent and cleanse her marrow. As long as he helped Amoolin lay a good foundation, Amoolin would be stronger than Emoza and the others in the future. It was a pity that they could not cultivate boundary essence in this world. Otherwise, Lin Ling could give them some guidance on cultivation. Then, Lin Ling took out some body-tempering treasures and handed them to Emoza and the others. Lin Ling, this is not good. Emoza and the others were instantly grateful. Lin Ling had saved them and now he was giving them treasures. This made them feel extremely guilty. Knowing each other is fate. Perhaps this is also fated. So accept it, Lin Ling said with a smile. Emoza and the others could only nod. Moreover, they gave Lin Ling the most solemn warrior salute in Yushi. In the future, no matter how they changed, they would always remember Lin Ling. Lin Ling held Xiaoyu's hand and led Do Haing and the others away. To him, this was just a memory of his life. In the future, when he recalled all his memories, he would feel that his life was not in vain. He did not know that because of him, a powerful tribe was born in Yushi. In the future, this tribe would dominate Yushi. Moreover, the god they worshipped was a man with black skin and dragon claws. This had already become the tribe's statue, the god they worshipped and passed down for thousands of years. Of course, this was a story for another time. At this moment, Lin Ling was walking along the red soil towards the ancient desert. Although this trip to the Rainbow World did not increase his strength by much, it allowed him to learn a new way of fighting. It was a different way of using soul force. This made Lin Ling curious. What kind of god created this world? Why were his laws and his Tao so different? After passing through the red soil, a scorching desert appeared in front of him. This desert was even hotter than Yushi. To Lin Ling, this kind of heat was equivalent to nothing. However, to Do Haing and the others, this was a kind of torture. They had to rely on their boundary essence to resist the heat. Moreover, if they walked for a long time, they would have to recover their boundary essence. This was also the benefit of Lin Ling's triple cultivation of essence, qi, and spirit. Walking towards the east, the vast desert was desolate and gave off a feeling of loneliness. Chapter 3364. The Legend of the Rainbow World. Brother, I'm thirsty. Occasionally, Xiao Yu's voice could be heard. Lin Ling hugged her and took out some treasures, which made her giggle. Rumble. After walking for an unknown period of time, a deafening roar could be heard from the front. Looking around, at the end of the desert, there was a huge black spot. The sound was coming from there. East, the direction is correct. Unless the sun rises from the west, could it be that the black spot is where the Dragon King is? Lin Ling stopped and frowned as he looked into the distance. He could sense that the black spot was actually a huge black whirlpool. Let's continue. Lin Ling continued on his journey. He didn't dare to guarantee anything for this trip. Whether the Dragon King was a friend or foe, or how strong he was, etc. However, he had a feeling that if he didn't go to the Dragon King, he would definitely regret it. Since he had made up his mind, Lin Ling continued forward without hesitation. Rumble. As he moved forward, the sound in front became louder and louder. Moreover, in the ancient desert, an ancient city sat on the ground. What was surprising was that the city was made of thick and heavy rocks. The surface of the rocks was filled with spikes and beast bones, which made it look extremely ferocious. There's actually an ancient city in this desert. Do Afterimage couldn't help but widen his eyes. It's not an ancient city, but a rock and sand boat. Lin Ling said with a smile as he activated his 10,000 elephant magic eyes. This was the first time he had seen such a huge rock and sand boat. Moreover, the entire boat was made of rocks. The person who built the boat must have spent a lot of effort. Brother, is that a boat? Why isn't it moving? Xueqi blinked her big eyes and asked curiously. Do you see that huge canvas? That's the driving force of the boat. The wind in the demon desert is very strong. When the canvas is blown, it can move the rock and sand boat. As for why it's not moving now, it's because the wind has stopped. There's another reason. Do you see that black whirlpool in the distance? They seem to be afraid of that black whirlpool. Lin Ling explained with a smile. Young master is right. That boat can't move at this moment because there is no wind. However, this boat is also amazing. If there is wind, then it can walk freely in the demon desert. Moreover, with the protection of the rocks, the people on the boat will be safe and sound. Do Afterimage said with a smile. My lord, look over there, there's another boat. At this time, Cruel Sword also said. In this vast desert, there was more than one rock and sand boat. There were a few boats in the distant desert. There was a Can's XN can obviously. They couldn't move without wind. Let's go. Lin Ling smiled. He was originally very interested in the rock sand boat, but he didn't want to miss the black vortex, so he set off again. Cans canned, dragon is can. Can cans can? Can cans can? Can cans. Haha, the sand boat has closed the cabin. They can't enter the sand boat unless they can pay more divine coins. I'm afraid the divine coins will be 10 times more expensive than usual. After all, they missed the time to enter the boat. A large number of voices were heard, with a hint of schadenfreude. Hey, do you want to enter the boat? You have 8,000 divine coins on you. At this time, a burly man appeared on the sand boat and looked at Lin Ling and the others. Yes. Xueqi replied curiously. She had always been interested in the sand boat. Get lost. Let your parents speak. However, the burly man snorted coldly, thinking that the little girl was teasing him. After all, when was it a child's turn to speak on such an important matter? Seeing this, Xueqi didn't dare to speak and her eyes became moist. We don't have any divine coins. Lin Ling stopped and looked indifferently at the sand boat in the distance. Damn it, what a waste of my saliva. The burly man said angrily. Then, as if he was unwilling to give up, he said again, my sand boat just so happens to have a few empty seats. If you don't have any divine coins, you can become slaves. This way you can live. Slaves. This sentence seemed to have touched Remnant Sword's reverse scale. A dagger quietly appeared in his hand. This was because he was born a slave. However, Lin Ling quickly pressed his hand and shook his head. You don't have to do anything. These people will definitely die. Get lost. Then, Lin Ling shouted angrily at the sand boat. Damn it, what a shameless fellow. The burly man's face turned ugly. Captain, why do you have to be so harsh on them? If they want to die, let them be. Anyway, they will definitely be torn to pieces by the dragon demon. Hee, I haven't seen the dragon demon eat humans in a long time. Today, I finally get to see it. On the huge sand boat, mocking voices came out. Many people looked at Lin Ling and the others as if they were looking at dead people. In the rainbow world, there had always been a legend. A long time ago, a demon came here and specialized in eating humans. This made the demon desert infamous. In the end, this demon attracted the wrath of God. Under God's punishment, The demon was locked in a cage in the depths of the desert forever. However, the demon was called a demon because it could not die. It could only be sealed. It let its people wreak havoc in the desert. Every month, on a certain day, its people would massacre the land. And today was the day when the demon's people massacred the land. This rule had been passed down for thousands of years. Young master, something doesn't seem right. Du Kening also noticed that these people were gloating and couldn't help but say solemnly, I know. Lin Ling nodded. His gaze was fixed on the black vortex in the distance. He sensed a wisp of demonic energy permeating the air, and it was increasing in number. Not only was this demonic energy violent, it was also mixed with a wisp of dragon chi. This made him even more certain that the Dragon King was in the black vortex. Rumble! At this moment, the desert began to shake, and countless terrifying cries sounded in front of them. The sandboats immediately fell silent. Although they were hiding in the sandboats, they were deeply afraid that the sandboats could not stop the invasion of the demons. They're out! Someone shouted, causing countless gazes to turn to the front. A black dot appeared in the black vortex. It gradually increased in number and gradually became bigger. Upon closer inspection, they were strange beasts. They had the limbs of a lizard, but they also had the heads of a dragon. They looked extremely clumsy, but they were charging forward. Their eyes were bloodthirsty, as if they wanted to eat everyone. What is this? Can Sword exclaimed. This is the first time I've seen such demon beasts. Lin Ling frowned. Then, he realized that the lizard-like dragon demons were very fast. They swept up a sandstorm and swept over. Don't leave me! Chapter 3365. Translator, Atlas Studios Editor. Atlas Studios A New Demon. At this moment, many people on the sandboat were staring at Lin Ling and the rest. All of them sneered. At this moment, they had completely forgotten about their own safety. They were already anticipating Lin Ling and the rest to be torn apart by the dragon demons. Perhaps this was the dark side of humans. They were afraid of the dragon demons, but they also wanted to see the dragon demons wreak havoc on others. This way they would feel better than others. Rumble! The huge lizard dragon demon was getting closer and closer to Lin Ling and the rest. Young master. Do Afterimage's expression became even more serious. A dagger appeared in Savage Sword's hand. He was ready to fight to the death. However, Lin Ling was still calm. Since he was looking for the Dragon King, he definitely couldn't avoid facing these dragon demons. Don't move! Lin Ling still shouted coldly. As the dragon demons in front got closer, a fierce aura and dragon aura began to spread from his body. Unknowingly, his body had turned pitch black, and he had grown taller. His arms had turned into dragon claws, and his entire being seemed to have transformed into a half-dragon man. Roar! Almost at the same time, the lizard dragon demon at the front had arrived. It opened its bloody mouth and roared, wanting to devour Lin Ling and the rest. Clang! A dagger appeared in Savage Sword's hand. He was ready to protect Lin Ling with his life. Don't move! However, Do Afterimage stopped him because he realized that something was wrong with Lin Ling. At this moment, Lin Ling's fierce aura and dragon aura became more intense. It was as though they had materialized. His soul power was baring its fangs and brandishing its claws around his body. Roar! Lin Ling also roared. In fact, it was even louder than the lizard dragon demon. Roar! However, the lizard dragon demon roared again. It was filled with the primeval aura of a demon beast. Moreover, more and more dragon demons arrived around it and roared at Lin Ling. It was as though the demon kings were fighting. It was a clash of auras. What's going on? In the distant desert, those sandboats let out cries of surprise. The scene in front of them was too shocking. This was because a strange half-demon was roaring at the lizard dragon demons. All the lizard dragon demons stopped and roared back. It was as if one person was fighting against the entire flood of dragon demons. Roar! Lin Ling's ferocious nature seemed to have been triggered. His roaring became louder and louder. Around his body, black sludge appeared. It was baring its fangs and brandishing its claws. This was the world-swallowing beast. Roar! Lin Ling roared again. On his left arm, the heavenly dragon protector appeared. Furious dragon soars to the heavens. The great netherwind dragon appeared on his right arm and swept through the sky. Gradually, The auras of the lizard dragons withered, and they began to lie down. Finally, they circled around Lin Ling and charged towards the sandboat in the distance. Perhaps, on Lin Ling's body, they detected the most primitive aura of the dragon god. Heavens, that slave actually didn't get swallowed. It doesn't make sense. What did that slave do? Such a scene shocked all of the sandboats. Could it be that this youth was the incarnation of a devil? Rumble. While they were still in shock, a large number of lizard dragons had arrived. They charged towards the sandboat without fear of death. The rocks of the sandboat had a large number of spikes. In an instant, many of the lizard dragons were killed. Good. Seeing that the sandboat was impregnable, everyone secretly wiped away their sweat. However, even though many of the lizard dragons had died, the lizard dragons behind did not stop. They continued to charge towards the sandboat. Something's not right. The people on the sandboat could not be happy at this moment. Ka. As more and more lizard dragon demons died, cracks began to appear on the thick rocks of the sandboat. Oh no! Everyone was frightened by this scene. Without the sandboat, how could they block the dragon demon? They were dead. They were dead. At this moment, they did not have the time to gloat. They were all worried about themselves. Boom! As the sandboat completely exploded, everyone was exposed to the huge lizard dragons. Their bodies trembled, and they did not have the heart to fight at all. Suddenly, the captain of the sandboat looked into the distance. He vaguely saw that the people from before were riding the lizard dragons and heading towards the black vortex. The lizard dragons were actually obeying the orders of those people? This news undoubtedly shocked everyone. Sir, save me! The captain roared into the distance. Unfortunately, those people rode the lizard dragon demon further and further away. No. Instead, they were greeted by the bloody maw of the lizard dragon demon. The captain was torn in half. His upper body was bitten by a dragon. He was not dead for the time being. His eyes stared into the distance. He suddenly thought, if he had let the youth on the boat, what would have happened? Unfortunately, there were no ifs in the demon desert. Gulp. The captain's upper body was finally swallowed into the stomach of a lizard dragon. Sha Jingtian's sandboat has been destroyed. On the sandboat in the distance, everyone looked at the tragic scene in front of them. They wanted to help, but there was nothing they could do about it. Although the sandboat could stop the lizard dragons, that was only relative. Generally speaking, out of 10 sandboats, 3 would definitely be destroyed. Therefore, it was also a matter of luck. If there were no sandboats, they would have died without a doubt. Who are those people? They actually gained the lizard dragon's approval. Then, everyone looked into the distance. Their eyes were filled with shock. It's not just approval, it's making the lizard dragons obey orders. An old man with a face full of vicissitudes muttered to himself, Uncle Lin, why did this happen? The others asked, trembling with fear. I don't know. Perhaps that person is the demon of the demon desert. The old man shook his head. He was not familiar with this kind of mythical story. However, he suddenly thought of something. God once said that when a new demon appears in the rainbow realm, the old demon will be killed. Perhaps that person is the new demon. It can't be. Even God can't kill the demon. Can that person? God's prophecies are never wrong. The sandboats began to make noises one after another. Many people recalled the ancient legends of the gods. At this moment, in front of the huge black vortex, a large number of lizard dragons were moving forward. They clustered around one of the lizard dragons as if they were welcoming their king. On the lizard, Xiao Yu, Du Lingying, Remnant Sword, and the others were shocked. They could only look at the man in black in front of the lizard dragons. Young master, you're so powerful. Du Lingying's heart kept roaring. In his heart, Lin Ling was simply a dragon king at this moment. These lizard dragons are formed by the fusion of the Dragon King's bloodline and other monsters. Therefore, they can sense the dragon god's bloodline in me and obey my orders. At this moment, a low voice sounded. It made Du Lingying and the others laugh. Previously, they were afraid that Lin Ling would become a monster who had lost his mind. Brother, are you okay? Xiao Yu's big eyes stared at the man in black. Although this man was extremely terrifying and looked like a monster, his silhouette was her dearest brother. Chapter 3366. A Quiet Mountain Range. Lin Ling, although he had merged with the realm-devouring beast and the dragon god bloodline, his soul power was strong, so the side effects of the bloodline did not affect him at all. That's great. Seeing this, Do Afterimage and the rest smiled. The real trouble is about to begin. Lin Ling quickly stopped smiling and looked at the black vortex that was getting closer and closer. He had a feeling that if he could come out of the black vortex alive, Lin Ling would be reborn and become a real dragon god. This was why he was so determined to enter the black vortex. The rolling vortex was like a giant mouth that wanted to swallow everything. As it got closer, Lin Ling and the rest looked more serious. Then they disappeared into the black vortex. Rumble! The black vortex was still rolling, as if it was leading to another world. After an unknown amount of time, the giant vortex finally began to dissipate, and the lizard dragon in the desert retreated into the black vortex. The world of the black vortex was a boundless mountain range. This place was extremely quiet and desolate, without any signs of life. The sky was pitch black, and the dark clouds seemed to be motionless. What is this place? Lin Ling and the rest landed on the lizard dragon and frowned as they looked into the distance. They saw that the lizard dragon walked into the mountains and then fell into a deep sleep, as if they had turned into stone statues. Lin Ling and the rest saw this strange scene, but they could not figure out what caused the lizard dragon to fall into a deep sleep. Young master, you can use boundary essence here. Boundary essence is not suppressed. Suddenly, Do Afterimage could not help but laugh excitedly. After Broken Sword checked it out, he also smiled. They did not like the feeling of being suppressed. That's good. Lin Ling also checked it out and then nodded. With boundary essence, his strength could increase again, which was beneficial to him. After that, they continued to move forward. However, it was still pitch black in front of them. There was no light or sound. Walking alone in this kind of mountain range might make one feel as if they were already dead. Xueqi was also affected by the surrounding atmosphere. She held Lin Ling's hand tightly while Lin Ling kept an eye on their surroundings.
He knew that the quieter it was, the greater the danger.
Moreover, Lin Ling also sensed that something was wrong. This was because his soul force had sensed that there was something secretly monitoring them. He couldn't help but look at Du Kening and the others. However, even though they were assassins, they didn't notice anything. Instead, they looked at Lin Ling in confusion. Could it be that my senses are mistaken? Lin Ling immediately frowned, because the feeling of being watched would sometimes disappear and sometimes appear, making it difficult for him to be sure. He could only secretly keep an eye on it. After walking for a long time, Lin Ling's footsteps suddenly came to a halt. Do Afterimage and the others immediately looked at Lin Ling, their eyes turning serious. Lin Ling stared ahead, frowned slightly, and said indifferently, "You have been following us for so long. Could it be that you want to continue following us?" His voice drifted out, but the mountain range in front of them was still silent. There was not even the sound of wind. This made Du Kening and Broken Sword look at Lin Ling again. Could it be that their young master had sensed wrongly? Shill. However, at this moment, a black shadow suddenly flashed over, like lightning crossing the pitch-black sky. Most importantly, this lightning was silent and its speed had reached 200 boundary essence. The fatal aura locked onto Xueqi. It seemed that Xueqi was the weakest, so the killing intent wanted to kill her first. You are courting death. Broken Sword was beside Xueqi. At this moment, he stepped forward and blocked in front of Xueqi without fear of death. At the same time, he activated all his boundary essence, forming a cold dagger of killing intent. Cold light flashed, and the dagger slashed forward, causing cracks to appear in the space. Rumble! However, that black shadow was extremely powerful. It was unknown what method it used, but when it collided with Broken Sword's dagger, it actually shattered his dagger. A wave of killing intent instantly landed on Broken Sword's body. However, at this moment, sword light flashed, revealing its sharpness. Clang! Just as the killing intent was about to land on Broken Sword's neck, a sword blocked in front of him, causing Broken Sword to relax. It was his lord. At this moment, beside Broken Sword, Lin Ling held a large sword and blocked that fatal attack. He also stared ahead, only to see that the fatal attack was a tail that looked like a scorpion's tail. Looking ahead, black scales appeared, and a black scorpion the size of a calf appeared in front of Lin Ling. What was terrifying was that this scorpion actually had a dragon's head, and its 8 legs were in the form of dragon claws. It was just that its body was completely black. Moreover, Lin Ling also sensed that this scorpion had the aura of a dragon. The combination of a dragon and a scorpion? It could be called a monster. Woo woo woo. After being blocked by Lin Ling's large sword, the tail actually spewed out a wave of black smoke. It's poisonous. Retreat immediately. Lin Ling shouted anxiously as he brandished his sword, creating a strong gust of wind that blew the cloud-like poison away. Shill. When he waved his large sword, the black light arrived again, and the dragon-scorpion monster attacked again. 2 huge claws grabbed at Lin Ling, but were blocked by Lin Ling's tyrannical song sword. However, at this moment, that fatal tail shot out again. Wind technique. Lin Ling shouted, and his body was like the wind, graceful and formless. Using 200 world speed, Lin Ling used his speed to dodge that fatal tail. However, the dragon scorpion was really powerful. While it kept spitting out poisonous clouds, it also used the speed of 200 worlds to chase after Lin Ling. Clang clang clang. Under the silent mountain range, a deafening sound rang out. 1 man and 1 scorpion. In the blink of an eye, they had exchanged 500 rounds. What kind of monster is this? Its strength is too great. Du Ying and the broken sword were protecting Xiao Yu, and they said solemnly. They felt that it was not a scorpion at all, but a dragon, a poisonous scorpion dragon. What powerful strength! It has reached the power of 2,000 world speed. At this moment, Lin Ling's right arm was a little numb. After several clashes, he also knew that this dragon scorpion was powerful. However, he did not use his full strength. Of course, in such a mysterious place, the longer the battle dragged on, the more unfavorable it was for Lin Ling. Therefore, Lin Ling pushed his speed to the extreme, and the wind and rain myriad world technique appeared, mixed with the great nether wind dragon's great Tao of wind, allowing him to reach the speed of 300 world speed. This speed instantly pulled the dragon scorpion apart, and the dragon scorpion was obviously stunned, unable to react in time. However, its ferocious aura was overflowing, and it once again pounced on Lin Ling. Illusion God's true inheritance. Lin Ling's heart stirred, and he planned to end the battle quickly. After the illusion appeared, countless Lin Ling appeared, and it was impossible to distinguish between the real and the fake. This made the dragon scorpion a little confused, and it could only continue to attack those Lin Ling. However, the real Lin Ling was hidden among them, and the big sword merged the power of the 5 dantians and slashed out fiercely. Chapter 3367. The Mysterious Old Man. Clang. Sparks flew in all directions. That calf-like dragon scorpion's scales were sliced open, and green blood flowed all over the ground. However, it did not die, and instead suffered heavy injuries. This clearly showed how powerful it was. His overall strength had probably reached the late stage of the saint stage or even the peak stage. I've already unleashed 70% of my strength, but I still couldn't kill it. It's really troublesome. Lin Ling's expression also became serious. If there were more of these dragon scorpions, then even he, Lin Ling, would not be able to stop them. However, whatever he thought of came true. In the quiet mountain range, huge figures appeared one after another. If one looked carefully, one would see countless monsters walking over. Some of them were like cows, some were like tigers. There were all kinds of strange creatures and they were extremely ferocious. These monsters surrounded Lin Ling and the others, roaring angrily. Furthermore, all of them had the same characteristic, which was that they possessed the blood of dragons. These monsters were originally the subspecies left behind by the gods. They were incomparably powerful. Coupled with the dragon god's bloodline, their strength was naturally unparalleled. Your Excellency, who are you? Moreover, what shocked Lin Ling the most was that these monsters actually spoke human language. Who are you? Lin Ling suppressed his astonishment and said in a low voice. If you don't speak, die. The eyes of those monsters were extremely cold. Although their voices sounded like human speech, they were extremely hoarse. It was as if speaking was not an easy task for them. Kill! Those monsters erupted with terrifying baleful aura and began to surround Lin Ling. Most of them were at the peak of the sage stage, and many of them were close to the martial ancestor stage. This kind of ancient vicious creature was simply not what Lin Ling could withstand. Although Lin Ling's illusion god true inheritance had confused a large number of monsters, they were still powerful enough to tear apart the illusion. As for Lin Ling's 300 sector speed, he was immediately at a disadvantage against some of the bird-like monsters. This was because those monsters had 500 sector speed. Terrifying. Extremely terrifying. If such a ferocious army was placed in Lin Ling's world, it would be enough to stir up a bloody storm. Calamity-destroying Sun Bao. Lin Ling roared and unleashed his full battle strength. The dragon bow appeared and 4 arrows intertwined, killing those monsters. After the dragon bow appeared, the monsters were stunned. They seemed to be surprised by Lin Ling's dragon bow. But soon, a rhinoceros-like dragon demon appeared and roared at the sky. It absorbed a large amount of gas and formed a huge black light barrier. It actually blocked Lin Ling's dragon god arrow. Too strong. Lin Ling's expression grew even more solemn. He was certain that he was no match for the rhinoceros-like dragon demon at the martial ancestor realm. Fuse transform. Death was upon him. Lin Ling did not hide anything. His soul power burst out, and he turned into a dark dragon demon. He waved his dragon claws, and the world-swallowing beast increased its defensive power by a huge margin. Rumble! A bear-like dragon demon collided with Lin Ling. It was immediately flipped over by Lin Ling, and its chest was torn open by Lin Ling's dragon claws. Now, Lin Ling had 2,000 realms of power. In addition to the fusion of his 5 dantians and various talents, he was even stronger than when he was in the rainbow world. What? He's also a dragon demon? Seeing Lin Ling's inhuman and dragon-like appearance, all the monsters were shocked. In fact, the current Lin Ling gave them a strong visual impression. His entire body was covered in black scales, and it was even darker than theirs. He had 4 black dragon claws, and muddy black clouds surrounded his body. Most importantly, a strong dragon aura emanated from him, and it was even purer than theirs. I don't believe that he's also a dragon demon. However, many martial ancestor realm monsters roared and pounced on Lin Ling again. Boom! Lin Ling collided with one of the monsters, creating a terrifying shockwave that blew the mountains of the Silent Mountain range down. Lin Ling was also at a disadvantage, but he was not injured. This meant that with his transformation talent and his 5 dantians, his strength was comparable to the martial ancestor realm. Of course, it was just barely comparable. Looks like I'll have to use the true inheritance dark sword. Lin Ling's eyes turned pitch black, and they were extremely cold and merciless. He knew that if he used the true inheritance dark sword, even if he could kill these dragon demons, he, Lin Ling, would definitely die. After all, it would take a long time to kill the monsters, and Lin Ling would consume more life force. Don't be rude. However, at that moment, a smile suddenly sounded. Then, a white-haired old man walked out of the Broken Mountain range. He was holding a walking stick and wearing a black robe. The white beard formed a sharp contrast with the black robe. We have guests from afar. We should welcome them. The old man looked extremely benevolent. He stopped in his tracks and smiled at Lin Ling and the others. The surrounding dragons fell silent, and a wisp of awe and fear appeared in their eyes. Lin Ling also noticed this change. He frowned slightly, then bowed to the old man. Thank you for your help, senior. He was extremely shocked. There were people in this mysterious world? Moreover, this old man was able to make all the dragon demons fear him. Who was this old man? At that moment, Lin Ling appeared to be polite, but he was wary of this old man. This was because from any angle, this old man was a powerful person. Guests, you've come from afar. Why don't you take a look at my immortal residence? Yes. The old man was still smiling. I wouldn't dare to go against Senior's wishes. It just so happens that I have the same thoughts. Thank you, Senior. Lin Ling said politely. He withdrew all of his aura, brought Xiao Yu and the others, and followed the old man. All the dragon demons made way for them. They lay on both sides of the road and stared at Lin Ling and the others covetously. It was as if they could swallow Lin Ling and the others in one bite. However, they didn't dare and could only lie there. Lin Ling followed the old man forward. In front of them, birds chirped and flowers bloomed. It was like a paradise. Here, white clouds floated, immortal fruits, and immortal beasts walked freely on the grass. It was a happy and harmonious scene. So beautiful. Seeing this mysterious scene, Broken Sword immediately let out a cry of surprise. How is my immortal residence? Hearing Broken Sword's words, The old man couldn't help but laugh. Very beautiful. Lin Ling immediately praised, causing the old man to laugh.
It was as if he was very satisfied with Lin Ling's answer.
Come, follow me. The old man plucked some immortal fruits from the tree, handed them to Xueqi, and said with a smile. That kind appearance undoubtedly made Xueqi have a good impression of him. Perhaps seeing the old man made Xueqi feel as if she was seeing her grandfather. Xueqi, why aren't you thanking Senior Grandpa?
Lin Ling said with a smile.
Thank you, Senior Grandpa. Xueqi immediately smiled sweetly. Hee hee, what a cute little girl. Chapter 3368. Bone of the Dragon God. Lin Ling looked at Afterimage and the others again, and realized that they were all attracted by the immortal realm.
They seemed to respect the old man very much and did not notice anything at all.
However, Lin Ling didn't say much. He followed the old man and continued forward. He looked behind him and saw that those cute immortal beasts were still playing, eating immortal fruits, and running on the grass. But for some reason, these immortal beasts gave him a distorted feeling. Why do I have such a feeling? Lin Ling thought inwardly. He activated the 10,000 Mammoth's magic eyes and released his soul power, but he didn't find anything wrong. In the end, he finally found out why he felt distorted. It was because the eyes of those immortal beasts were different. They were actually pitch black. Although those immortal beasts were cute animals like deer and rabbits, Lin Ling could sense that their eyes were bloodthirsty. This discovery undoubtedly caused Lin Ling's entire body to turn cold. Little friend, what do you think of my palace? At this time the old man stopped. Lin Ling and the others discovered that they had arrived at the edge of a cliff. A magnificent golden bridge connected the cliff, and on the other side was a grand and ancient palace. The palace was white in color, and upon closer inspection, it was actually carved out of countless bones. Although the bones would make one's heart palpitate, for some unknown reason, the carvings of the bones were extremely perfect. They perfectly fused together to form this exquisite and majestic palace. How was this a palace? It was simply a work of art. Looking at the corners of the palace, one could see majestic dragon heads, making the palace look like a dragon palace. Dragon bones! Lin Ling couldn't help but cry out in surprise. Xueqi and the others were the same. They were all attracted by the holiness and beauty of this palace. That's right, it was carved from dragon bones. When the old man saw Lin Ling and the rest's shocked expressions, he couldn't help but smile in satisfaction. He liked to see these people's shocked expressions. Moreover, these dragon bones are all bones of the dragon god. Lin Ling was indeed shocked.
Her little friend seems to be very interested in the dragon god's bone.
The old man looked at Lin Ling and said, "You are honored guests. Since you like these dragon bones, take as many as you like. I don't have much in this immortal land, but I have a lot of dragon bones." Really? Lin Ling was overjoyed. Of course. Now, follow me into the palace. The old man smiled and nodded. He took a step forward and walked toward the bridge, leading the way to the mysterious palace. Lin Ling and the others followed closely behind. Welcome back, Your Excellency. Welcome, guests.
Arriving at the bottom of the palace, there were already many maids and guards standing there.
They all had smiles on their faces. Their clothes were neat and tidy, giving off an extremely good feeling. Yes. The old man nodded and strode into the palace. Dear guests, please take your time. When Lin Ling and the rest followed, the maids and guards said in unison, "You're too polite." Even Xueqi felt overwhelmed by this unexpected favor.
This palace, coupled with these maids and guards, tested as expected of a place with the title of immortal abode.
Even though Afterimage had traveled extensively, this was the first time he had seen such a beautiful thing. In this place, he felt like an immortal, being worshipped and revered by mortals. The interior of the palace was also beautifully decorated, revealing a luxurious and surging aura everywhere, causing Xueqi and the rest to exclaim repeatedly. However, Lin Ling did not speak this time. For some reason, although the interior of the palace was very beautiful, it always gave him a sense of disharmony, as if everything was distorted. Looking at the polite maids and guards around him, although the maids and fairies were beautiful, the guards were like celestial soldiers and generals. However, Lin Ling still had a feeling that under this beautiful surface, there seemed to be an ugly side hidden. I hope it's an illusion. Lin Ling shook his head inwardly. This old man's strength was too strong.
Whether all of this was true or not, with Lin Ling's strength, he could not see through it at all.
In a large hall, everyone sat down, and immediately, maids placed all kinds of immortal fruits and immortal wine. The old man politely asked Lin Ling and the rest to sit up. The immortal fruits were extremely fragrant, causing one's appetite to whet. Moreover, after tasting them, they found that the immortal fruits were indeed very delicious. Therefore, Xueqi and the rest ate a lot, but Lin Ling, who had a grudge in his heart, only ate a little symbolically. Young friend Lin Ling, is it not to your taste? On the way, the old man and Lin Ling had a rough conversation, so they knew each other's names. At this moment, he could not help but ask curiously. No, it's mainly because I'm used to cultivating, so I don't really like to eat. Lin Ling said with a smile. You, are a martial arts fanatic. The old man nodded immediately. Some martial artists who were addicted to martial arts were like this. Unless it was treasures used for cultivation, they usually did not like to eat or enjoy themselves. Lin Ling should be such a person. Senior, you're right. Lin Ling nodded politely, and the doubts in his heart grew stronger. Why was this old man so polite to them? What was hidden in this palace? All of this made him feel confused and bewildered. I see that you are travel-worn and have not had a good rest for a while. Have a good rest in the palace tonight. Here, no one can disturb you. After Lin Ling and the rest had eaten their fill, the old man said with a smile. Thank you, senior. Speaking of this, Doing and the rest immediately laughed. In the demon desert, they had been on the road and were indeed travel-worn. Therefore, if they could have a good night's rest, they would definitely not miss it. Someone, take them to wash up. Immediately, a maid and the rest led Lin Ling and the rest away. Under a gorgeous waterfall, the celestial water floated and the fragrance filled the air. Lin Ling and the rest began to wash up. Broken Sword, Doing, and the rest all laughed loudly. It was obvious that the rest this time had allowed them to be extremely carefree. After washing up, the maidservant led them to their room to rest. The room was extremely spacious and the decorations were gorgeous. Before the maidservant left, she said that if they needed anything, they could look for them immediately. Then she left. There were several comfortable beds in the room. Xueqi, Doing, and the rest laid on the beds and relaxed their bodies. Lin Ling looked around vigilantly. After seeing that there were no objections, he relaxed a little. However, his gaze finally fell on the window. He walked forward and immediately realized that this place was very high. From the window, he could see the mountain range in the distance. The mountain range was silent and somewhat dark. It was so dark that it made one's heart palpitate. Such a terrifying place actually had such a gorgeous palace that allowed people to relax and rest. This made people suspicious. However, with the old man's strength, if he really wanted to harm them, they would not be able to resist. This made Lin Ling rub his forehead. He really could not understand all of this. Chapter 3369. Dragon God. Lin Ling was overjoyed. No matter how strange this place was, he had to get the dragon bones first. After the guards left, Lin Ling began to investigate the dragon bones. He was surprised to find that these dragon bones were extremely ancient, probably more than 100,000 years old. Moreover, all of them were dragon god bones. With these dragon bones, my sky dragon and wind dragon can be upgraded again. Lin Ling secretly said. He planned to use this time to refine the dragon bones. Then, he put away the dragon bones and wanted to refine them, but his eyes looked out of the window again. He saw that in the dark mountain range, it was still quiet as if it was a devil's world. However, in the darkness, eyes faintly appeared, and these eyes were secretly staring at the palace. It was extremely strange. Is it those dragon demons? Lin Ling frowned, then went to the bed and began to refine the dragon bones. Roar! Although these dragon bones were inanimate objects, they must have been the most ancient and powerful existences when they were dragon gods. Therefore, when Lin Ling refined them, he immediately sensed an indescribable pressure assaulting him. It was as if countless invisible and colorless dragon kings surrounded Lin Ling, wanting to devour Lin Ling. These dragon bones are more powerful than the dragon bones I saw in the past. Lin Ling was shocked. He was sure that if it was someone else, they would definitely not be able to refine these dragon bones. Unfortunately, his Chaos Divine formula was too powerful. There was nothing it could not refine. Just like a furnace, the dragon god's bone was thrown into the furnace and turned into dragon god's chi. This mysterious dragon god chi continuously poured into Lin Ling's bones. Ka ka ka. Lin Ling's bones made a crisp sound, as if they were being reorganized, starting from shattering and then fusing together. This process was naturally extremely painful. Unfortunately, Lin Ling had faced too many setbacks and tribulations since he started cultivating. This kind of pain was equivalent to nothing to him. Lin Ling did not even blink, allowing the bones in his body to change. At the same time, his fifth dantian was also changing. A storm was swirling, turning into a wind dragon that coiled around his dantian. The talents of the two dragons were transforming at this moment. They were transforming towards the ultimate desolate body. At present, Lin Ling's only ultimate desolate body was the space-time divine monument. But now, there were two more. While Lin Ling was cultivating, Xiaoyu, Du Kanying, and the others accompanied the old man and walked around the palace. During this period of time, they were quite happy. Lin Ling was not worried about Xiaoyu and the others. After all, if the old man really wanted to kill them, he would not be able to stop him. With the passage of time, Lin Ling's heavenly dragon skeleton had completely transformed, entering the ranks of a first-grade ultimate desolate body. Ultimate desolate body. People with such talent were all at the pinnacle of the 9 prefectures, but Lin Ling had 2. Furthermore, the great nether wind dragon was also transforming. It had finally entered the ranks of the ultimate desolate body. In this way, Lin Ling's strength increased greatly. Furthermore, during the time he was refining the dragon skeleton, he had naturally entered the 4th heaven of the Sage Realm, breaking through 2 levels consecutively. The dragon god's bone was indeed a rare item. My strength has reached the power of 2,000 realms. If I were to transform with my talents, I can reach the power of 5,000 realms. At full speed, I can reach the speed of 500 realms. Lin Ling muttered to himself. His physical strength had finally reached a new realm. If his cultivation realm and soul strength increased, he could open his 6th dantian. At present, as long as his opponent was not at the martial ancestor realm, he was not afraid of anyone, even if his opponent had an ultimate desolate body. No wonder my intuition told me to come here. So that's why. Sensing the earth-shaking changes in his body, Lin Ling revealed a smile. Although he had killed all the sages when he was being pursued in the end state, he knew that he was still very weak. Therefore, he had always wanted to become stronger. Now, he had finally completed a stage of his goal. The great solar calamity bow has reached the state of the 6th arrow. Lin Ling said again. This was because the strength of the great solar calamity bow depended on the strength of the dragon skeleton. When the dragon skeleton improved, the dragon race's divine ability would also improve. Furthermore, what surprised Lin Ling was that the 6th arrow's divine ability had the power of 10,000 arrows piercing the heart. Unfortunately, there was no one here for Lin Ling to test. This made Lin Ling feel somewhat regretful. I've been here for quite some time. I'm afraid it's about a year. It's time to go back. On this day, Lin Ling finally stood up and left his room. He went to the back garden of the palace. It was like a fairyland, with birds chirping and flowers fragrant. The old man was playing with Xiaoyu. Du Kanying and the rest were also there. Xiaoyu, is it fun? The old man said with a smile, looking extremely benevolent. Yes, it's fun. Xiaoyu also smiled, but Lin Ling could see that this smile was very forced. This made Lin Ling frown. Soon after, he understood. Although this palace was very beautiful and had many mysterious places, there was no one here. At first, it could arouse people's curiosity, but after a long time, everything would become boring. Xiaoyu was like that. Because the playfulness of a child gradually disappeared, she wanted to leave. This was not Xiaoyu's home after all. It's good that it's fun. Play with Grandpa more in the future. The old man did not know what Xiaoyu was thinking and said happily. Could it be that this senior's real intention is for us to stay and accompany him? Seeing this scene, Lin Ling also had some guesses. Perhaps the old man had been trapped here for many years. He was lonely, but Lin Ling and the rest could not stay here. They could not stay to accompany him because of his loneliness. Thinking of this, Lin Ling walked up. Lin Ling, you're finally out. Although the old man did not look at Lin Ling,
He seemed to know that Lin Ling was coming.
Senior. Lin Ling immediately bowed and then went straight to the point. This junior is here to bid farewell. As soon as he said this, Xiao Yu, Du Xianing, and the rest's eyes lit up. The old man was still smiling, but he began to ponder. A strange atmosphere began to slowly spread out. This atmosphere made Xiao Yu's heart turn cold. She hurried to Lin Ling's side and looked at the old man in shock. Because of their interaction during this period, the old man gave her the impression that he was kind and amiable. This was the first time she had seen the old man emit such an aura.
Why? Are you not satisfied with staying here?
The old man was silent for a long time before finally looking at Lin Ling. Senior, we are very satisfied with this place. However, we still have many things to do outside. There are still many people who care about us waiting for us. So I'm sorry. Lin Ling cupped his fists and bowed. So that's the case. The old man nodded, but he also stopped smiling. What if I don't let you leave? Chapter 3370. The Dragon Demon of the Silent Mountains. Hearing this, the elder fell silent. The eerie aura around him became even thicker. He didn't explain anything, but said indifferently, "You are not allowed to leave." After he finished speaking, he turned around and left. His cold demeanor was completely different from before. Seeing this, Lin Ling frowned. Could it be that he had no choice but to force his way out? However, even though his strength had increased greatly, he was still no match for the old man. Go back. Lin Ling did not say much as he led Xiao Yu and the others back to the room. In the room, there were many afterimages. They also understood the old man's intentions. At this moment, they were extremely anxious, but there was nothing they could do. Lin Ling didn't say anything. He seemed to be thinking about something. The few of them sat there quietly until night fell. In the sky, a round of bright moonlight hung there. After it covered the earth, it made the palace look extremely beautiful. But in the eyes of Lin Ling and the others, all of this was very strange, as if it had been distorted. How am I to get away? Lin Ling became more and more anxious because the more he stayed in this demonic palace, the greater the danger. His gaze suddenly fell on the window. Through the bright moonlight, it fell on the distant Black Mountain range. Over there, mysterious eyes appeared from time to time, as if they were monitoring Lin Ling. Sir, you're in trouble. At this time, an old voice sounded in Lin Ling's ears, causing his expression to change. It was those dragon demons. Why do you say that? Lin Ling was shocked, but his expression remained calm. Hee, it's up to you to believe it or not. The old voice was filled with disdain, and it gradually disappeared without a trace. This caused Lin Ling to frown. He was very sure that those voices came from the distant mountain range, but why did the other party warn him? Moreover, weren't those dragon demons obeying the old man's orders? Perhaps this was all a scam. Lin Ling continued to ponder, but his eyes finally lit up. He seemed to have thought of something. At this moment, he wanted to go to the Silent Mountain range, but he knew that the old man was definitely still monitoring him. This meant that he couldn't leave. However, just because he couldn't leave didn't mean that there was no other way. I'll use little Kunlun to sneak over with my soul energy. Lin Ling thought to himself. Then, he secretly told little Kunlun about his idea. Little Kunlun immediately understood. It quietly sprouted and turned into a tiny vine. From a corner of the room, it quietly grew out. Then, it followed the ground and extended towards the Silent Mountain range. Lin Ling guessed that it was not the elder who was monitoring him, but those guards. Those guards only needed to detect the presence of others, so they would not notice little Kunlun's actions. The black vines were silent, and they grew at an extremely fast speed. Like snakes, they slithered across the ground and finally arrived at the silent hills in the distance. Lin Ling's soul force was also hidden within. When little Kunlun stopped, his soul force quietly spread out. Sir, I'm here. A soft voice drifted through the mountain range, causing the mountain range to fall silent. A moment later, a large number of black shadows appeared and walked towards little Kunlun. You're quite bold. You know that we want to kill you, yet you still dare to appear. The old voice immediately sounded. Everyone, let me guess the reason why you want to kill me. You don't want that elder to obtain anything, so you want to kill me. This means that you have a grudge with that elder. Little Kunlun was like a demonic plant, constantly emitting sounds. However, the dragon demons in the mountain range were all silent at this moment. Moreover, you fought with me and roughly knew my strength. However, you never mentioned it to that elder. From this point, I'm even more certain that you hate that elder. Linling said again.
Sir, you're right.
Finally, the dragon demons admitted it. They looked like they wanted to kill Linling, but in fact, they were on the same side as Linling. On the other hand, that elder was very polite to Linling, but he wanted to harm Linling.
Then now, you can tell me why I'm in trouble.
Linling's laughter sounded. Hearing this, a burly figure walked out. It was a demonic dragon that was a combination of a bear and a dragon. Because that person doesn't want to keep you here. His real target is you.
What?
This time, Linling's heart changed drastically. He thought that the elder wanted them to stay because he wanted them to accompany the elder.
However, he underestimated the elder's ambition.
He's the ghost dragon god. Legend has it that he's the dragon god of the dragon clan. He came here a long time ago and was sealed by the god here. Therefore, he summoned the lizard dragon demons to capture the experts in the Rainbow Realm and used ghost arts to change those experts into the dragon clan's bloodline. Those experts are us.
The bear dragon demon spoke again.
At first, we didn't know why he did this. Because when he turned us into dragon demons, our strength increased greatly.
But later we finally understood.
He wants to find a substitute to break the god's seal and leave this place.
Yes.
Hearing this, Linling suddenly understood. You mean the substitute he found is me?
Yes.
That's right. Because you have the purest dragon god bloodline, you're very suitable to be his substitute.
Yes.
The demons all nodded. That's why you're in trouble. He needs your fleshly body to leave this place.
Yes.
Linling's heart suddenly became heavy. That elder had a good plan. He wanted him, Linling, to sit in prison for him. Then, the elder would replace Linling and return to Linling's world to change everything. Is there a way out here?
Yes.
Linling pondered for a moment and then asked. There is, but it's controlled by the ghost dragon god. It's in the center of the palace. However, although the ghost dragon god wants you to replace him, he missed one point. That is, your soul power is stronger than his.
Yes.
That's why we want to kill you. Because we hate him and don't want him to leave this place. So if you die, the ghost dragon god's plan will fail.
Yes.
However, Linling just smiled and said, but you've changed your mind. You want to make a bet, right?
Yes.
Hearing this, all the dragon demons were stunned. Then, they nodded one after another. They had underestimated this young man. This young man actually knew what they were thinking. Let me guess again. You also want to leave this place. You think I have a high chance of leaving with you, so you didn't kill me in the end. Linling smiled. The dragon demon's eyes flashed and they said, that's right. Because your soul power is stronger than his, you have a chance of seriously injuring him and leaving this place. Of course, this hope is very slim, but we've been trapped for too long. We all want to leave this place, so we gambled.
Yes.
Why do you think I will succeed? Linling asked again. He was still cautious. Chapter 3371. It was a full moon. Yeah, your soul force is stronger than his, and you can resist for a longer time, so you still have a chance to succeed. How about it? Do you want to bet with us? You have to know that you have no other choice. The dragon demons spoke one after another. Linling continued to ponder. Although he didn't completely believe these dragon monsters, everything was as the dragon monster had said. He had no other choice. Just by himself, he was definitely not the old man's match. If he gathered these dragon demons, then there was still a chance. I'll bet, but what's your plan? Linling asked again. That ghost dragon god has the ability to control our life and death, but when he replaces you, this ability will be greatly weakened. We can also charge into the palace and attack him, disrupting everything he does. This is the plan. What you need to do is to resist his devouring with all your strength. If you are devoured, his power will enter your body and we will all die. The dragon demons explained. Linling immediately nodded.
This means that we can only wait for him to devour me.
That's right. Seize this opportunity and leave this place. After a short conversation, Lin Ling roughly understood the situation in his heart. Subsequently, he followed little Kunlun back to the palace and roughly told Du Kanying and the rest about the situation.
Without a doubt, Doing and the others were furious, but there was nothing they could do.
Ghost Dragon God.
Lin Ling's gaze was somewhat solemn.
He was certain that this dragon god was a powerhouse left behind from the era of gods.
However, he had mistakenly entered the rainbow world and was subdued by the gods here.
There are so many experts left behind by the gods in the sky of the 9 prefectures. Lin Ling mumbled to himself.
Even though he had returned to being Li Xiaoyao and was a prodigy of the 9 continents, he still felt that the world was vast and boundless. Ask that old man to send over more treasures.
After that, Lin Ling made a decision. Since the old man wanted to harm him, Lin Ling didn't need to be polite. As for Lin Ling's request, the guards didn't have any objections. Whatever Lin Ling wanted, they would give it to him. This led to Lin Ling obtaining many treasures. He used all of these treasures to help little Kunlun grow. Because at present, it would be difficult for Lin Ling to increase his strength in the short term. On the other hand, little Kunlun would be able to display its might faster. As for the broken sword, it was the afterimage.
With the help of those treasures, their strength had increased greatly. The afterimage had reached the late stage of the Saint Realm, while the broken sword was at the same realm as Lin Ling. As for the old man, he was still the same as before. Every day, he would come to find Xiao Yu and the others. His face was kind, as if his real goal was to make Lin Ling and the others stay. This hypocrisy made Lin Ling and company feel a chill in their hearts. If not for the dragon demon's reminder, Lin Ling and company would never have guessed the old man's intentions. Time passed just like that. Lin Ling realized that the bright moon in the sky was gradually becoming round. He had a feeling that once the moon became round, everything would begin. Whether Lin Ling would stay in this damned place forever or leave this place depended on that moment. That night, the full moon hung high in the sky. The palace suddenly became lively. Many lanterns were hung up. However, if one looked carefully, these lanterns were a little strange. They were like the ghost lanterns hanging in an uninhabited town. The old man invited Lin Ling and company to admire the moon in the palace's garden. This let Lin Ling know that everything had begun.
The bright moon shrouded the earth. When Lin Ling and company appeared in the garden, it was already filled with immortal wine and immortal fruits. Immortal qi floated in the air. It was like a paradise. The old man invited Lin Ling and company to sit. After a few cups of wine, the old man looked at the moon in the sky. Every time the moon is full, I feel a sense of nostalgia. The moon is the brightness of my hometown. Senior's home isn't here, right? Lin Ling drank the wine and smiled. The old man nodded. I've been here for a long time. It's been so long that I've forgotten the taste of my hometown. Only in my dreams do I remember how beautiful my hometown was. Every time the moon is full, all the warriors will swallow the moon, triggering a great battle. I really miss it. Senior must be very strong in your hometown. Lin Ling asked.
Hearing this, the old man shook his head.
My hometown is very ancient. It's as famous as the gods. Even before the gods fell, my hometown was an existence that couldn't be underestimated. In my hometown, I'm just a very ordinary existence. Hearing this, Lin Ling was shocked. He knew that the old man's hometown was the dragon tribe. However, the old man was so powerful, but he was also a very ordinary existence in the dragon tribe. This meant that the real dragon tribe was terrifying. Little friend, during this time, how have I treated you? Suddenly, the old man looked at Lin Ling. Lin Ling said politely, Senior has treated me very well. If that's the case, why don't you do me a favor? Let me go home and take a look. Just one look is enough. The old man begged. Lin Ling's heart changed. He immediately shook his head and said, If I want to leave, I'll leave with Senior.
He knew that the main topic had begun. However, the old man laughed, and his laughter was somewhat sinister. We can't leave, we can't leave.
Only one of us can leave because the seal here is to seal a true dragon god's bloodline. Those trash in the Silent Mountain range seem to have the dragon god's bloodline, but it's not pure. Only you can leave. Senior, what are you trying to do?
Lin Ling's voice immediately turned cold.
I'm sorry.
You have to stay here forever. Everything here belongs to you. I just want to go back and take a look. Even one look is enough."
The old man stood up. His face was extremely cold.
He said he wanted to take a look. This was obviously a lie. If he left, he would never return.
A powerful force appeared in his hand and shrouded the garden.
Lin Ling and the rest couldn't move. "Young master,
Big brother,
Xiao Yu, Du Ying and the rest shouted.
however, they couldn't help.
"Little friend, I'm sorry." The old man's face became terrifying. He bared his fangs like an evil spirit. His body didn't move.
However, he opened his mouth and spat out a black dragon shadow.
This dragon shadow was like a demon and it ferociously pounced on Lin Ling. At this moment, Lin Ling couldn't move.
He could only watch as the dragon shadow pounced on him. Although he had already sensed it, he couldn't resist the old man's powerful strength.
"Little Kunlun,"
he shouted in his heart.
At the same time, the black vines on his left arm began to grow wildly. They swam along the ground and actually wrapped around the old man's entire body. This move immediately slowed down the old man's dragon shadow by a bit. "It seems that you've also sensed it.
However, you still can't stop me."
The dragon shadow floated in the air and let out a cold voice. Chapter 3372. Battle with the Ghostly Dragon God. Rumble. Little Kunlun's strength had increased greatly during this period of time, and the vines continued to cut at the old man's body. Roar. At the same time, there was a roar from afar, and the ground shook. The dragon demons of the Silent Mountain Range had finally made their move. "Damned slaves! How dare you resist when I'm distracted? Stop them!" The black ghostly dragon shadow roared. He had left his physical body, so he could not control the life and death of the dragon demons. He needed a physical body, and the pure bloodline of the dragon god. The maids and guards in the palace tore their clothes apart, turning into ugly corpses. These corpses had dragon scales on them, but they were clearly not humans. Little Yu and the rest narrowed their eyes. They had not expected the beautiful maids to be corpses. Corpses that were smelly. Only Lin Ling had sensed it. He hoped that the dragon demons would rush into the garden and stop the ghostly dragon god. Rumble. The ground continued to shake, as though the heavens were falling. A powerful aura arrived, and the palace was about to collapse. When the dragon demons arrived, they tore at the corpses in a frenzy. Finally, they rushed into the garden and attacked the old man's corpse. This was their last chance. They had to destroy the old man's dragon body. The attacks of the dragon demons were extremely powerful, but the ghostly dragon god was indeed the most ancient existence. He was only injured. A black dragon armor appeared on his body, and his defense was extremely strong. Crack, crack, crack. Even the vines of little Kunlun could not cut through the black dragon armor. "All of you must die." The ghostly dragon god's soul let out a low roar and pounced on Lin Ling again. However, the attacks of the dragon demons were not without help. At least, with the ghostly dragon god's avatar, Lin Ling and the rest could control their bodies. Lin Ling did not waste time. At the critical moment, he went all out, and his talent fused to become a half-dragon god. The heavenly dragon protection floated above his left hand, and the great netherwind dragon above his right hand. The purest dragon god bloodline also exploded. Calamity-destroying Sun Bow. The power of the great solar calamity bow at full power was extraordinary. 6 shots later, the dragon gods above Lin Ling's head transformed into arrows that pierced through the earth. Rumble. The palace shook continuously under the barrage of arrows. The expressions of the dragon demons changed drastically. They did not expect Lin Ling's strength to increase again in such a short period of time. The gap between them and him was not that big. "Everyone, do your best." With the addition of Lin Ling, all the dragon demons fought with their lives on the line, constantly attacking the old man's body. At this moment, the great battle had already reached its climax. One was for freedom. The other was a substitute. They were all fighting for their own beliefs. Bang bang bang. As for the old man's physical body, the injuries were getting worse and worse. As a result, the soul of the ghost dragon god could only ignore the physical body and rush into Lin Ling's body. As long as he seized Lin Ling's physical body,
he would be able to transfer the power of his physical body to Lin Ling's physical body. During this period of contact, he knew that Lin Ling's talent was extremely good. His physical body was perfect, and he even possessed the dragon god's bloodline. Therefore, he would definitely not let go of such an excellent physical body. Swoosh swoosh swoosh. It was as if countless ghostly auras had enveloped Lin Ling's entire body and rushed into his body. Lin Ling's soul immediately sensed a terrifying power attacking him. This made him fight with all his might. What? Your soul power is so strong. Suddenly, the voice of the ghost dragon god came from Lin Ling's body. Clearly, he did not expect Lin Ling's soul power to be beyond his imagination. Dragon soul! He roared. He could only choose to fight head-on. At this critical moment, the dragon demons fought even harder. They exploded with 120% of their strength because they knew that if the ghost dragon god succeeded, they would all die. As a result, the old man's physical body was injured even more severely. This also caused the ghost dragon god's soul in Lin Ling's body to become more difficult to seize Lin Ling's physical body. Bastard! The ghost dragon god roared. Originally, everything was very simple. Unfortunately, he underestimated Lin Ling's soul power and missed out on the dragon demons. This caused the situation to become more troublesome. However, his strength was still much stronger than Lin Ling and the others. Therefore, the difficulty had only increased. It did not mean that he had failed. He continued to attack Lin Ling's soul power, trying to seize Lin Ling's body. However, Lin Ling felt a terrifying force occupying his body. His soul power was shaking as if it was about to be driven out. True inheritance dark sword. At this critical moment, Lin Ling erupted with his trump card. The sword gate behind him shot out numerous swords towards the old man's body. As long as the old man's body was destroyed, the ghost dragon god's soul would be greatly injured. At that time, he would not be able to control Lin Ling's body. Why do you have so many methods? The ghost dragon god was shocked again. He felt that his body was being cut up by swords. These swords actually had the power to kill gods. They were too powerful. Kaka. The old man's body was constantly being cut up. His bones were broken and his scales were scattered all over the ground. The dragon demons naturally seized the opportunity to devour all the flesh and blood on the ground, not allowing the old man to recover. At this moment, both sides were racing against time. Would Lin Ling's body be occupied faster, or would the old man's body be destroyed faster? You guys underestimate me too much. Seeing Lin Ling and the others' momentum increase, the ghost dragon god seemed to have thrown caution to the wind. His soul seemed to be chanting something, and an ancient aura immediately spread out from his body. The originally bloody body began to change at this moment, turning into a huge black dragon god. This dragon god's body was ferocious. It lay quietly on the ground, giving off an irresistible feeling. At the same time, the entire gorgeous dragon palace began to shake. The bones began to disperse, shooting towards the black dragon god and fusing with it. What? This palace is the ghost dragon god's body? The dragon demons were shocked. They finally knew the ghost dragon god's true power. Even Afterimage and the others were shocked. They had a feeling that the ghost dragon god's power had reached the level of a half-step martial god. If his soul had not left his body, coupled with the cooperation of Lin Ling and the other dragon demons, no one would have been able to withstand the ghost dragon god's attack with just one finger. Because his soul had left his body, the ghost dragon god's strength had been greatly weakened. Go to hell! 8 divine powers of the dragon tribe, Ghost Dragon series, 100 bones of the mist cloth. A roar exploded from Lin Ling's body. It was the ghost dragon god's voice. He used his voice to control his body and unleash a powerful killing move. 8 divine powers of the dragon tribe. This was the same divine powers of the dragon tribe that Lin Ling's calamity-destroying Sun Bao was not passed down to outsiders. There were 8 such powerful divine powers in the dragon tribe. Chapter 3373. Fight to the death, Ancient Demon. Pop, pop, pop. A storm appeared and the dragon demons were swept up by the black bones. Their bodies seemed to have been cut open and they fell to the ground, losing the ability to fight. Looking around, the scene is extremely terrifying because the ground is full of broken demon arms, wings and other things. The ghost dragon god defeated all the dragon demons with one move.
It is so terrifying. Of course, the ghost dragon god was not unscathed. After using this move, its body also disappeared, leaving behind only a round black pearl. This seemed to be a dragon pearl. However, the dragon pearl is not destroyed, which means that the old man is not dead. Looking at Lin Ling's side, everyone has lost the ability to fight. Although Lin Ling's soul force is strong, he can only resist. And this kind of resistance will not last for long. Moreover, after his body was invaded by a mysterious force, he gradually lost control of his body. This made Lin Ling's soul anxious. Is he going to become a lonely ghost and be trapped here forever? Meanwhile, the tortoise dragon god seized his body and returned to his hometown to seize everything from him. Yu and Yuer, everyone. At that time, even Yu and the others would not be able to sense that it is a fake Lin Ling. I can't be trapped here, I can't. I absolutely can't. Lin Ling's soul roared as he controlled the primal chaos divine formula to refine the power in his body. The ghost dragon god's soul immediately let out a painful cry, but he roared and said, "Good, you actually hit a power that even I don't know about. Great, great, all of this is mine." Although the primal chaos divine formula is continuing to refine the power, the ghost dragon god is too powerful. Before it is completely refined, Lin Ling has already lost control of his body. Sir, don't lose. Seeing Lin Ling's face constantly changing, sometimes transforming into Lin Ling and sometimes into the ghost dragon god, the dragon demons on the ground are all shouting. They were truly impressive. Even though they were cut into pieces, they were still alive. Young master, let me help you. That afterimage took a big step forward and rushed towards the dragon pearl. He launched a fatal attack in an attempt to break the dragon pearl. However, even though the dragon ball was already very weak, with Do Ying's strength, it still couldn't cause fatal damage. Time was also getting shorter and shorter. At this moment, Lin Ling's soul seemed to be burning. Li Xiaoyao's memories were circulating in his soul. He was looking for a way to break the spell. However, facing such a situation, even if Li Xiaoyao was here, there was nothing he could do. Destroy the dragon balls and I'll win. Lin Ling's soul knew the key to victory or defeat, but even if he could still control his body, he didn't have the power to destroy the dragon balls. Suddenly, Lin Ling's soul trembled. He had an idea. However, this method was very dangerous, because he had to give up on fighting for the body with the ghost dragon deity, and use all of his soul force in other places. However, this may be the only way to destroy the dragon balls. I'll bet on it. Lin Ling's soul force let out a firm voice. In this life, this was the first time he used his soul force like this, causing his 10,000 elephant demonic eyes to operate crazily. At this moment of life and death, he thought of his greatest enemy, Tian Lioli. He thought of the little things he couldn't let go of in the 9 continents. He also thought of an Yuer who had forgotten about him but gave up everything for him. An Yuer didn't come back, so how could he, Lin Ling, be trapped here? Boom! His soul force crazily exploded, from level 8,000 to level 10,000. The terrifying soul force fluctuation actually destroyed the entire Silent Mountain. This mysterious world was destroyed by Lin Ling's soul power and was in a sorry state. This brat with endless potential. Could he be a descendant of a god? However, even if you are a god, it's useless. In another incense's time, I will be able to seize your body. The ghost dragon deity was also shocked. If Lin Ling had exploded with such soul force from the start, it would have been even harder for him to enter Lin Ling's body. You will never be able to seize my body. The formless soul force was like tentacles, bearing fangs and brandishing claws outside of Lin Ling's body. Shameless boasting. The ghost dragon deity mockingly roared. Lin Ling didn't waste any time with him. He pushed his soul force to the limit and roared. Innate fusion, transformation. With level 10,000 soul force, Lin Ling's 3 great innate talents fused together, causing his body to be incomparably powerful. However, it didn't stop there. The soul force bearing fangs and brandishing claws actually sucked in the surrounding dragon deity's body, like a medium, fusing all the dragon deity's power. This change shocked the dragon deities. They couldn't control their bodies and could only fuse with Lin Ling's body. This method came from the Lion King. However, in the past, Lin Ling had only fused his innate talents, not external objects. Now, he couldn't care less. He only knew that after fusing his innate talents with the dragon deities, his strength would reach an unprecedented peak. Rumble. Terrifying auras erupted.
One should know that there were countless dragon deities here, the weakest of which was at the late Sage realm. There were also many martial ancestors. When these terrifying existences fused together, a terrifying monster appeared on the ground. It was like a monster that had been abandoned by the gods, or rather, a monster that even the gods were afraid of. This was because it didn't look like a human, a ghost, a dragon, or a monster. It could be said that it had already transcended the control of the gods. This monster grew rapidly. It was hundreds of meters tall and had all kinds of demonic beast limbs on its body. There were bear paws, eagle wings, dragon claws, and dragon fangs. Its body was pitch black and a murderous aura filled the air. Its terrifying aura was comparable to that of a martial god. Boom! It roared into the sky, revealing sharp fangs in its mouth as if it was an ancient divine ape. Rumble! The sound wave caused the space to shatter. Even in the distant demon desert, sand waves rose into the sky, shocking the warriors of the Rainbow Realm. They looked into the depths of the demon desert, wondering what had happened to the demon that had been sealed by the gods. Old man, you want to seize my physical body? Are you qualified? The tall ancient monster roared towards the sky, and it actually carried a wisp of a domineering aura as if it was nothing but me. You! Inside the ancient deity's body, the ghost dragon deity let out an incredulous cry. He was familiar with this technique. It was a dragon clan technique that he had imparted to Xueqi. And now, this kid had learned it. Most importantly, this kid's soul power had suddenly soared. It felt like the student had surpassed the master. Old man, your sweet dream is over. The ancient deity revealed its fangs and moved, disappearing on the spot. In front of the pitch-black dragon pearl, a tall figure appeared. He raised his foot high and stomped down heavily. No! The ghost dragon deity roared anxiously. However, it was useless. He had yet to fully control Lin Ling's physical body and could only watch as the foot stomped down heavily. Boom! This mysterious world was shattered by the stomp. It was terrifying. This was destroying a world with one stomp. Chapter 3374. Escape alive. At this moment, how could the dragon pearl withstand the ancient monster's kick? With a cracking sound, it shattered. At the same time, a black shadow uncontrollably flew out from the ancient monster's body. Clearly, its body was mostly destroyed and the ghost dragon god no longer had the powerful strength it had before. I won't let you off. The shadow disappeared into the shattered dragon pearl. Its voice was filled with unwillingness. After the dragon pearl shattered, it turned into several rays of light and shot into the distance. It's too late to leave now. Seeing this, the tall monster punched the sky, causing the void to explode. Those rays of light immediately swayed. 3 of them were knocked down while the rest flew into the distance. After the rays of light fell to the ground, they immediately turned into fragments of the dragon pearl. Young master, it's a success. Seeing this, Xiaoyu and Du Kanying were overjoyed. They did not expect Lin Ling to break the ghost dragon god's method. Ka. At the same time, the tall monster began to bleed. Pieces of flesh and blood were stripped off. It looked somewhat terrifying. However, the parts that were stripped were the limbs of the dragon demons. The black light began to shrink and gradually turned into the size of an ordinary person, revealing a pale young man. It was Lin Ling. At this moment, Lin Ling was breathing heavily, but the corners of his mouth were curved into a smile. This time he had made the right bet. After the ghost dragon god's soul left its body, its strength had weakened a lot. In addition, it was besieged by the dragon demons and Lin Ling's powerful soul force had fused with it. In the end, it was seriously injured. Its attempt to seize Lin Ling's body had also failed. Sir, you've won. At this moment, the limbs on the ground began to fuse together. Lin Ling nodded and picked up the 3 shattered dragon pearls on the ground. These were the most ancient dragon god's power. He would not waste them. Carefully sizing up these dragon pearl fragments, Lin Ling could see black clouds rolling inside. It was as if a ghost dragon was roaring. Your Excellency, these Dragon Ball fragments are precious treasures. I once heard the ghost dragon god say that there are ranks in the dragon race, and the Dragon Ball is used to determine the rank. This shows how precious the Dragon Ball is. The surrounding dragon demons fused together and restored their dragon demon bodies. However, they were still heavily injured.
Soon after, a tree-like dragon demon said, "Let's leave this place immediately. The ghost dragon god is very strong. He can recover for a short period of time, and if he recovers 60% of his strength, we won't be able to resist him." Upon hearing this, Lin Ling immediately nodded and hurriedly walked towards the palace with Xiao Yu. The palace had already disappeared and a huge whirlpool had appeared on the ground. The whirlpool spun as if it led to another place. "Go!" Under the lead of the dragon demons, Lin Ling carried Xiao Yu on his back and leaped into the huge whirlpool with Du Kanying and the rest. Rumble! A rumbling sound immediately rang in their ears. After a long time, a scorching wind blew over. Only then did Lin Ling and the rest realize that they had already returned to the demon desert. Under the storm, the rolling yellow sand moved like ripples on the surface of the water. However, it shook the spirits of the dragon demons. They looked around and their eyes became moist. How many years had it been? They had been trapped for so many years, and now they finally saw the real world. "I thought I would never have the chance to leave in this lifetime." The dragon demons all knelt down and roared at the sky, venting the excitement in their hearts. Lin Ling looked at them with a smile. He could understand the excitement in their hearts because even he could not endure for many years in a place like the Silent Hills, let alone these dragon demons who had been trapped for countless years. "Your Excellency, thank you." All the dragon demons looked at Lin Ling and said gratefully, "We all have our own needs." Lin Ling waved his hand. Without the help of the dragon demons, he would not have been able to leave that ghostly world, so he was not much help. Moreover, although he was trapped there, he had also obtained many benefits. His strength had greatly increased. "By the way, I'm not from the Rainbow World. I want to leave this place. Do you know the way out?" Lin Ling then asked. The dragon demons immediately looked at each other. One of them smiled and said, "It's not difficult to leave this place. You just need to find the teleportation point. The teleportation point of the Rainbow World is in the vast land of Xueqi." "How do you know?" Hearing this, Lin Ling was surprised. Hee, because I'm not from the Rainbow World. I'm a warrior from the 9 states. A long time ago, I accidentally entered this place. Later, I was captured by the ghost dragon god's lizard dragon demon and brought into that ghostly world. The dragon demon said, "That's great. Let's leave this place together." Lin Ling was originally afraid that he would not be able to find a way to leave, but now everything was solved. Xiao Yu and Du Kanying were also incomparably happy. The trip to the Rainbow World was a narrow escape, but in the end, they made it out alive. All of this seemed simple, but only those who had experienced it personally would know how terrifying the danger was. "Sir, we'll leave with you." At this time, many dragon demons looked at Lin Ling, which made Lin Ling somewhat puzzled. If he remembered correctly, these dragon demons were originally warriors from the Rainbow World. However, the ghost dragon god had used other methods to turn them into dragon demons. Now that they had come out, it should be because they wanted to stay in the Rainbow World. After so many years, everything is still the same, but people have changed. The dragon demons sighed. They had been trapped for so many years. Their former relatives and friends were probably all dead. There was nothing in the Rainbow World that they could not bear to part with. Right now, their only pursuit was martial arts. They wanted to step onto the peak of martial arts. We've heard of the 9 states world. It's said that it's bigger and more ancient than the Rainbow World. Therefore, we want to take a look. "Sir, let's go together. Moreover, we owe you a favor and want to repay you." The dragon demons all spoke up. "All right, let's leave together. However, you're so big. I'm afraid that you'll cause a bloody storm when you return to the 9 states. Lin Ling did not object to them following him, but he would definitely attract attention if he brought a group of dragon demons with him. This was not something that Lin Ling wanted to see. "This is very simple. The Dragon Ball from before can carry us. After all, we were created by the ghost dragon god with his own bloodline." One of the eagle-like dragon demons said with a smile. "That's good." Lin Ling quickly took out the Dragon Ball. The Dragon Ball had the pure bloodline of the dragon god. It allowed the dragon demons to merge into it as if their bloodlines had fused. Moreover, these dragon demons were previously heavily injured. At this moment, they could recover from their injuries in the Dragon Ball. After that, Lin Ling held Xiao Yu's hand and ran towards the distance according to the dragon demon's instructions. Chapter 3375. Go home. Your Excellency, the rainbow cloud will appear in every part of the rainbow world, but it has a special characteristic. Every time it appears and disappears, it will appear in a few places, and this place is one of them. This is the result of my many years of investigation in the rainbow world. But remember, you only have one incense stick of time. A voice came out of the Dragon Ball, which made Lin Ling nod his head. After that, Lin Ling quietly waited on top of the mountain. It's time to go home, Big Brother Lin Ling. I miss Big Sister Yu Yu and the others. Xiao Yu held onto Lin Ling's hand as she looked into the distance. Her eyes were filled with joy. I miss them too. Lin Ling also looked into the distance, a hint of nostalgia appearing in his eyes. He missed Yu Yu, Grandpa Mother, and Ear too. Moreover, he didn't know how Big Brother and the others were doing or how the God Slayer Alliance was doing. And what about the new heavenly courts? At this moment, it was as if he had stayed in the rainbow world for a very long time. Luckily, his strength had improved significantly. He was no longer a worthy opponent among the martial sacred realm cultivators. He could even fight against an early-stage martial progenitor. Moreover, in the entire JoJo, there were countless powerhouses. However, in terms of the number of trump cards in the Sage realm, no one could compare with Lin Ling. In particular, the talent fusion god art he learned in the rainbow world allowed Lin Ling's power to enter a new domain. Therefore, even if he returned, Lin Ling was not an existence that could be trampled on. He's here. At this moment, the Dragon Ball spoke, causing Lin Ling and the others to look into the distance. In the distant sky, the scene of burning clouds appeared. However, within these rolling clouds, there was a colorful layer of clouds hidden. If one didn't look carefully, they wouldn't notice it at all. Rainbow clouds, aren't these rainbow clouds? Seeing this, Lin Ling and the others were all excited. The clouds slowly spread over, pausing around the mountain before gradually dispersing. Almost at the same time, Lin Ling and the others moved. They leaped forward and pierced through the clouds. After catching sight of the colorful clouds, they shot into them. The colorful rainbow clouds contained a great power. When Lin Ling and the others entered, they immediately seemed to pierce through the void. When they appeared again, a familiar smell hit them in the face. Looking around, this was an endless starry world. It looked very quiet, but it was full of mysteries. This is the JoJo. The Dragon Pearl immediately emitted a lot of light. Around Lin Ling, powerful dragon demons appeared. Some of them transformed into eagle dragons that covered the sky, some transformed into bear demon dragons and so on. At this moment, they were all looking at the void in shock. That's right, but this is the void. Lin Ling enunciated each word clearly as the smile on his face deepened. This is indeed a world of the rainbow world. All the dragon demons were shocked. Yearning appeared in their eyes. It was a yearning for a stronger world, a more mysterious world. Are there many strong people here? A dragon demon looked at Lin Ling and asked. Lin Ling nodded. JoJo, the void has endless myths. There are many strong people like the ghost dragon god. Chi. Hearing this, all the dragon demons sucked in a breath of cold air, but they also looked forward to it. Do you want to leave by yourselves? Or continue to follow me? Lin Ling asked. However, all the dragon demons chose to follow Lin Ling. After all, they had just arrived here and were unfamiliar with everything. Therefore they would know more if they followed Lin Ling. Lin Ling stood quietly in the void. He had many things to do now, such as returning to the Yen state and seeing what the Flame Emperor could do. He also wanted to visit his master in the spirit state. However, Lin Ling chose to return to the Qing state in the end. He had not been home for too long. Let's go home. After making a decision, Lin Ling led Xiao Yu and the others forward. All right, we can see Sister Yu and the others. Xiao Yu waved her little fists, looking extremely happy. The Qing state was the weakest divine prefecture in the 9 states. However, all of Lin Ling's family and friends were here at this moment. The strongest person here was only at the Sage-to-be realm. The Qing Emperor was also the 3rd princess. However, there was also a myth in the 9 states. This was the hometown of the son of the devil of the God Slayer Alliance. The son of the devil was now famous in the 9 states. In the past, he had destroyed the gods and killed the demons. He had even dared to go head-to-head with the new heavenly court. Under the pursuit of countless strong people in the Yen state,
He had killed countless Sage Realm experts and left proudly. This was a miraculous event in the 9 states. When many people talked about the God Slayer Alliance, the son of the devil would definitely be mentioned. The son of the devil had become the flag of the God Slayer Alliance. In the Qing state, the son of the devil was a legend, a myth. Everyone knew that the son of the devil was Lin Ling. Moreover, Lin Ling was also the Qing emperor behind the scenes in the Qing state. When Lin Ling appeared in the sky above the Qing state, his eyes looked down at the earth below. Bits and pieces of the past flowed through his mind. The Qing state was still very lively. Compared to the time when Lin Ling had left, the cultivators here were much stronger. The great Azure Divine Dynasty still stood at the peak of the Qing state. The ancient power was also protecting the entire Qing state. In the past, my strength was not enough to fight against the ancient power. But now, the ancient power of the Qing state is no longer a threat to me. Lin Ling looked at the people and felt as if he had aged a lot. The battles in the past, the years in the past, those memories of the past were like things that had happened a long, long time ago. Let's go down. After that, Lin Ling held Xiao Yu's hand and walked towards the Qing state. The Qing state was still like a huge monster sitting on the earth. It was still divided into 5 ring cities that were used to determine the strength of cultivators. In the outermost ring city, the most famous was the Heavenly Saint Academy. The Resplendent Academy and the Zhongling Academy were the 3 great academies. In the past, Lin Ling had practiced martial arts in the Resplendent Academy. When Lin Ling appeared in the outermost ring city, the corners of his mouth revealed a nostalgic smile. This was because he saw many young people from the 10,000 worlds. They had also rushed to the 3 great academies to learn martial arts. They wanted to take off from here and fly to the world of the 9 states. The 3 great academies of the Qing state can't be compared to the other divine prefectures. The recruitment here is also much more lax. Lin Ling said as he walked. He remembered that when he first went to the Resplendent Academy, he had gone through several tests before finally entering the academy. At that time, his strength was as weak as the hair of an ox in the 9 states.
Sir, what do you know?
However, at this time, a reprimand came from all around. Looking around, several young people frowned at Lin Ling. This was because Lin Ling said that the 3 great academies were very lax in their recruitment.
What kind of joke was this?
Did this mean that it would be very easy for them to become disciples of the 3 great academies?
Ha!
Lin Ling was startled. These people were reprimanding him?
You're courting death.
Cruel Sword's face suddenly turned cold and a dagger appeared in his hand.
Oh, you're even arrogant now.
You even brought guards when you went out. From this, it can be seen that your strength is only a so.
You're a disgrace to the Qing state.
Chapter 3376. Theology Gate. With their strength, how could they see through the strength of Lin Ling's group? Therefore, they thought that Lin Ling was also one of the 3 Academy's disciples who had been eliminated.
Whoosh!
Cruel Sword hated it the most when people provoked Lin Ling. Moreover, the people who provoked him were weaklings. His eyes were filled with killing intent, but he was stopped by Lin Ling. Lin Ling smiled and waved his hand. I was talking too much.
Sorry for offending you.
Seeing this, Broken Sword was stunned. Master actually apologized to a few pieces of trash? How could he know that Lin Ling didn't care about these reprimands at all? Previously, he was just expressing his feelings towards the 9 regions.
At least you know your place,
the young men said proudly and looked at Lin Ling with contempt. I don't know where you came from, but you said that our 3 academies can't be compared to the other divine prefectures? You're just a frog at the bottom of a well. Let me tell you, what kind of experts have been born in our 3 academies? Have you heard of the son of the devil? He's from Resplendent Academy. At the mention of this, the entire street was filled with cheers.
Son of the devil.
Lin Ling frowned, then smiled. The son of the devil is the pride of our 3 great academies. Go to the 9 provinces and find out which academy gave birth to such an expert.
So, what you said before is simply nonsense. A frog in a well,
those young men said proudly. Lin Ling shook his head helplessly and shrugged. As for Kan Jian, he quietly revealed a smile and kept his dagger. So, these arrogant fellows worshipped the Lord. Since that was the case, he would spare their lives. After that, the few young men continued to chatter, causing Lin Ling's face to turn red. He rubbed his nose and left. As Lin Ling left with a red face, the other youths were even more embarrassed to see him. They all laughed loudly and swaggered forward. Oh, you're talking as if the Azure Prefecture is at the peak of the 9 provinces. However, in my opinion, the entire Azure Prefecture is just a collection of trash at the half-saint realm. There isn't even a single saint realm expert. However, not long after they walked forward, a disdainful voice suddenly came from the front. Then the crowd was separated, and several young men in luxurious clothes walked out from the street. When they saw those people, the street instantly became silent. Everyone seemed to recognize those young men. They're from Theology Sect. This academy was opened a year ago and forcefully inserted itself into the Green Province. It seems like it wants to compete with the 3 great academies. Although they're repulsive, they're really strong. Resplendent. The Azure Prefecture's name was Resplendent Academies. Resplendent Academies. The Resplendent Academy's name was Resplendent appeared. The Devil's Resplendent Academy. Resplendent. The Devil's Resplendent, the son of the devil. After a moment of silence, Resplendent of the Resplendent of the Resplendent. Resplendent. Evil Buddha Zhang, I know you. You're one of the geniuses of the Resplendent Academy. However, don't you feel ashamed for boasting? The young man opposite him sneered and walked out slowly. I admit that the son of the devil is powerful. However, according to the rumors in the 9 provinces, he only relies on the God-Slayer Alliance. Without the God-Slayer Alliance, he's nothing. It's said that the God-Slayer Alliance's experts were the ones who fought in the God-Slayer War. The son of the devil only took advantage of them. When God was at his weakest, he ambushed God. Also, during the battle between the Yen Prefecture and the 9 provinces' 10 evils, the 5th demon elder captured the son of the devil. At that time, the son of the devil was kneeling and begging for mercy. It was the God-Slayer Alliance who appeared at the critical moment and saved him. More recently, the son of the devil almost died in the battle of the Yen Prefecture. It was only when the God-Slayer Alliance arrived that the Flame Emperor and the new Heavenly Court spared the son of the devil and sent experts at the Saint Realm to kill him. However, the son of the devil was very cunning. He escaped first and then secretly asked the God-Slayer Alliance to help him kill those experts at the Saint Realm. He even pushed all the credit to himself. The young men of the Theology Sect sneered. Nonsense! Nonsense! Evil Buddha Zhang and the others blushed. I'm talking nonsense? If you don't believe me, then answer me. During the God-Slayer War, did the son of the devil fight against martial god Qilin at the beginning? During the battle of the Heavenly King Mountain in the Yen Prefecture, did the son of the devil run away when he saw the 5th demon elder? Tell me again. During the battle of the Yen Prefecture, if the son of the devil was powerful, why did he leave first and lead all the experts at the Saint Realm away? If you can answer me, then I'll take it that you're right. Nonsense! The young men of the Theology Sect said contemptuously. Evil Buddha Zhang and the other geniuses were speechless. How could they know about the battle of the 9 provinces? Brains are good things. Unfortunately, you don't have any. Nonsense. Brainless worship. No wonder that's all you've got in your lives. Nonsense. Seeing that evil Buddha Zhang and the others were silent, the young men of the Theology Sect also laughed. The son of the devil? You don't live up to your reputation. You! Everyone on the street was flushed with anger. The son of the devil was the legend they worshipped the most in Qing Prefecture. But now, he was said to be worthless. This was simply a humiliation to them and to Qing Prefecture. They didn't know what had happened at that time, so they couldn't refute it. Go to hell! Evil Buddha Zhang and the others flew into a rage out of humiliation. They took a step forward and rushed toward the young men. You're overestimating yourself. Seeing this, the young men sneered disdainfully. They didn't move, but the air around them exploded. The leader stretched out his hand and gently slapped out. Peak of the World King Realm? That power immediately changed the faces of evil Buddha Zhang and the others. They were only at the late World King Realm. They were no match for him at all. The young man's palm seemed calm, but it was mixed with a fierce power. After it slammed down, the entire street cracked. Bang! 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 Evil Buddha Zhang and the others fell down one after another, spitting out blood. Their faces were extremely pale. They had lost. With a difference of an entire boundary, they weren't a match at all. You people of Qing Prefecture are truly overbearing.
I was only speaking the truth and yet you were so angry that you attacked us. Do you really think that Qing Prefecture is your world?
Fine. Although our divine sect has an agreement with the 3 great academies to mind our own business, you were the first to attack and broke the agreement.
Don't blame us for what happens next. Kill them.
The young men of the divine sect coldly shouted, killing intent flashing in their eyes.
What? You want to kill people just because of a small conflict? Isn't this divine school too overbearing? Everyone was shocked.
They were surprised by the sudden appearance of the divine sect.
But the young men of the divine sect didn't care about this.
Their auras surged to the heavens as they killed people on the street.
Sir, this is Qing Prefecture, not your 9 prefectures. If you want to behave atrociously, then go back to your 9 prefectures.
Right at this moment, a cold shout suddenly resounded. Then, a cold young man walked over indifferently with a woman in his arms.
His long hair fluttered in the wind and he wore a blue and white robe. He gave off a feeling that he couldn't be underestimated.
Brother E.
Chapter 3377.
Go and kill him.
Here.
In the crowd, Lin Ling smiled. Before this, he had almost wanted to attack.
This was because the people from the divine sect were simply too overbearing.
If they didn't agree with each other then they would kill. This was something that Lin Ling couldn't bear to continue watching. Moreover, Lin Ling was also curious about the origins of the divine sect. After all, he had heard that this divine sect wasn't created by a martial artist from the Azure province, but came from the 9 provinces. There was actually someone from the 9 provinces that dared to meddle in Lin Ling's territory. This was also touching upon Lin Ling's reverse scale.
You, who the fuck are you?
Looking at Lin Yi, the youth from the divine sect frowned. Someone you should look up to. Lin Yi lightly said.
He nodded to his wife beside him and stepped forwards once more.
Everyone can see that this person is courting death. If he dies then he can't blame us.
The youth from the divine sect suddenly shouted, as if he were trying to find an excuse for himself.
Perhaps they had wanted to kill this person to begin with.
Shameless.
How could anyone not know what they were thinking? They all cursed out loud. At this time, Lin Yi sneered.
Without any nonsense, his sword slashed out like a rainbow.
This sword strike had the momentum of the sword, causing the entire 5-ring city to ring out. As for the several youths, their complexions changed. They discovered that Lin Yi was actually at the true divinity realm. They were only at the peak World King realm. They weren't his match at all.
Sir, this is a misunderstanding,
the leading youth anxiously said as he drew back.
In my eyes, this is not a misunderstanding.
However, Lin Yi wasn't an idiot. He decisively killed.
With a slash of his sword, he immediately cut off the head of the leading youth.
Moreover, his sword didn't stop there. He continued to cut down the others. These people had killed his junior apprentice brothers in the middle of the street. Lin Yi wouldn't give them any face.
You dare.
The other youths roared out. In the tiny Azure province, someone actually dared to kill them? Was this person seeking death? Unfortunately, Lin Yi didn't dare to do that. Blood splattered everywhere as heads flew up one by one. In the end, only one person was left. What was surprising was that this person didn't show any fear at all. Instead he coldly shouted,
Good, good, good.
You have guts to kill our theology sect's people. I'm telling you, no matter who's behind you, you're going to die. I'll leave this sentence here and let everyone see if my words will come true. It had to be said that this person should have a powerful backing. Otherwise, he would absolutely not dare to say such words.
How dare you?
Sure enough, after his voice, the world began to shake. An old man riding a qilin majestically appeared in the sky above Qingzhou. His surging aura gave people a strong sense of pressure. After hearing the old man's voice, Lin Yi immediately felt a strong pressure enveloping his body.
He frowned and looked up, half-saint realm.
He was very clearly aware of such strength, but he'd never imagined that the School of Theology actually had a half-saint realm expert standing behind it. One had to know that this level of cultivation was enough to stand at the peak of the Qing continent. Even the Qing emperor of the past was only at the first layer of the half-saint realm. Now you know fear, now you know regret? He's right.
No matter who's behind you, you'll have to kneel down and beg for mercy today. The old man in the sky slowly walked down on the Qilin. He seemed to regard himself as the Qing Emperor. Elder AI, you can't touch this person. However, at this moment, a voice rang out again. Several figures shot forward like shooting stars. The person in the lead was the Dean of the Resplendent Academy, Qin Xueqi. In the past, she had driven Lin Ling out of the Resplendent Academy. After that, Lin Ling had risen to prominence. She had spent a lot of time and effort to help Lin Ling repeatedly. In the end, Lin Ling no longer blamed her. Now, the people of the School of Theology actually wanted to kill Lin Ling's son. Were they courting death? Following Qin Xueqi were the elders of the academy and the deans of the other two academies. This shocked everyone. They'd never expected that the deans of the other three academies would come. This was especially so for Evil Buddha Zhang and the others. All of them were terrified. However, Lin Yi obviously recognized them. He walked over to Evil Buddha Zhang and the others and patted them on the shoulder to comfort them. This was because he knew that these juniors worshipped his father the most. Most of the previous conflicts were because they supported his father. No matter who comes, they won't give face to us. However, the only young man who was still alive was still fearless at this moment. Bang! The old man riding the Qilin in the sky said sternly, "If you don't give us an explanation for today's matter, we'll take it that the three academies are provoking the School of Theology. At that time, even if the Qing Emperor comes, you won't be in the right. This is a small misunderstanding. It's your disciple who wants to kill. Moreover, in a place like Qingzhou, you outsiders are too arrogant." Qin Xueqi was furious. The other party had set up an academy in Qingzhou to snatch their disciple. Now they were acting so arrogantly. "Get lost!" The old man shouted coldly. A powerful aura pressed down on Qin Xueqi and the others. They couldn't stop it at all. "How can you be the dean? A bunch of trash," the old man said disdainfully. He looked at Lin Yi and said, "Now, what else do you want to say?" Lin Yi immediately frowned and remained silent. The young man who was still alive laughed loudly at this moment. "Why don't you dare to say anything? Weren't you very powerful before? Now you're like a mute. I've already warned you that you can't kill me. No matter who's behind you, you'll be in trouble today. Now, do you believe me? If you don't, come and kill me." He stepped forward with an overbearing aura. Seeing this, Lin Yi suddenly grasped his sword, but Dean Qin shook his head at him. Obviously, the School of Theology was not simple and could not be easily provoked. In fact, Lin Yi had known this for a long time, but he couldn't stand the young man's arrogance. However, when he thought of his mother's advice, he finally fell silent. "Come on, if you don't, you're a coward. How did your father teach you? Is your father a coward too?" Seeing that Lin Yi didn't dare to speak, the young man was even more unforgiving. He raised his chin high. People secretly clenched their fists because only they knew who Lin Yi's father was. But now, the legend of Qingzhou was also being scolded by a rascal. They were furious. "Go and kill him. How can a swordsman withdraw his sword so easily? His home has been invaded and he will kill the enemy with his sword." However, at this moment, a cold voice sounded in the street, causing many people's pupils to constrict. "Go and kill him?" Lin Yi was stunned and then became excited because he was too familiar with that voice. He knew who had come back. Bang! He suddenly grasped the sword in his hand and walked towards the young man step by step. "Brother Yi, don't be impulsive." Evil Buddha Zhang and the others immediately persuaded him. They also knew that if Lin Yi dared to kill the young man, the consequences would be unimaginable. However, Lin Yi shook his head and continued to walk forward. This caused the three deans' expressions to change drastically. Chapter 3378. What an unfair victory. "Come on. Kill me if you dare." Yes, the young man thought so too. Instead of retreating, he walked toward Lin Yi and said, "You should know what will happen when you raise your sword." "Yes. I'm curious what will happen." "Yes." Lin Yi raised his sword and pointed it at the young man. The young man laughed sarcastically and said, "You can't bear the consequences." "Yes." "Really?" "Yes." Lin Yi also laughed.
His smile was similar to Lin Ling's. He was fearless and dared to take responsibility for his actions. Swoosh! The sword was held horizontally in the air, and blood was spilled on the street. The young man was stunned. A sword mark appeared on his neck. He stared at it until he felt a chill on his neck. Drops of blood were dripping down. Blood! I'm bleeding! The young man couldn't believe it. Was he going to die? Was he really going to die? Someone dared to kill him in front of the elders? Didn't you say that I didn't dare to kill you? Now, you know what I mean. Lin Yi slowly withdrew his sword and looked at the young man indifferently. The entire street was silent. Even though the young man wasn't strong, everyone knew that he was from the Divine School. The Divine School came from the 9 provinces. Even the deans of the 3 great academies didn't dare to say anything. This showed how powerful the Divine School was. But now Lin Yi still dared to kill, and he killed without hesitation. This guy. Qin Suizan and the others smiled bitterly. Lin Yi did have some of his father's style. Plop. The young man fell on his back. His eyes were wide open. Apparently, he died with grievances. He didn't expect that Lin Yi would dare to kill him. If he had known, he wouldn't have let Lin Yi kill him. Unfortunately, there was no medicine for regret in this world. When he fell to the ground, a horrible evil aura filled the street. It came from the old man riding the Kylin. His face was cold and gloomy. Obviously, he didn't expect that Lin Yi would dare to kill him. I don't know why you suddenly went crazy. But do you know what kind of disaster this will bring to the 3 academies? The old man slowly descended from the Qilin and walked towards Lin Yi step by step. He is my disciple, my last disciple. Don't you know how wrong it is to kill him? He clasped his hands behind his back and his eyes were extremely cold. This is Qing province. Lin Yi's eyes were like torches as he stared at the old man. He was not afraid. Very good, very good. You still dare to talk back after killing my disciple. It seems like you think that the 3 deans will be able to protect you. Unfortunately, you are too naive. Even if Emperor Qing is here, he will not be able to protect you. The old man roared, his killing intent surging. He wanted to kill this junior in front of the 3 deans, to make sure that the School of Theology was above them in the Azure Prefecture. Lin Yi. When they saw the old man make a move, the deans of the 3 great academies all cried out anxiously. Scram! That elder roared angrily, a rolling aura erupted, forming a type of realm origin energy field, blocking off the 3 great academies, even causing them to stagger backwards, unable to resist at all. A sage-to-be martial artist, this was beyond the limit of what they could resist. The old man grabbed at Lin Yi with his big hand, the corners of his mouth curling into a cold smile. He wanted to see who could stop him now. However, to his surprise, the young man in front of him was not afraid in the face of his attack. He stood there like a god of war, with his head in the sky and his feet on the ground. Bang! However, just as his hand was about to grab Lin Yi, suddenly, an arm stretched out and grabbed the old man's wrist, causing him to be unable to move an inch. Scram! The old man did not even look at the person and roared angrily again. A terrifying realm origin energy storm swept out. In the old man's opinion, this person who wanted to save Lin Yi was simply overestimating himself. What's going on? Everyone was shocked. Someone wanted to save Lin Yi? Didn't this offend the School of Theology? Rumble! The realm origin energy storm swept out in all directions. However, on the street, a figure was still standing beside the old man, like a Mount Tai, standing upright. You think you are qualified to ask me to scram with such little strength? The figure spoke in a cold voice, mixed with a trace of sarcasm. The old man originally thought that it was the deans of the 3 academies, but now he realized that the person who had come seemed to be very strong. He could not help but turn his head and see a cold man standing beside him. The man carried a large sword and a sword lock on his back. His eyes seemed calm, but when one looked at him, it made one tremble with fear. He's so young? The old man was shocked. When did Qing Zhou have such a young expert? I'm from the School of Theology. He killed my disciple. The old man spoke coldly. As long as this person was a martial artist from Qingzhou, he would definitely know what the School of Theology represented. He's my son. However, the man spoke coldly as well. This caused the old man's eyes to flash, and he turned his head to look.
Only then did he realize that the young man in front of him had a similar silhouette to this man. Moreover, this young man's father was so powerful?
Lin Yi's father. At this moment, the entire street was silent.
Everyone looked at the cold man, and their hearts were pounding.
Of course they knew who Lin Yi's father was. Especially the three deans. At this moment, their bodies trembled.
Qin Suetsan's eyes continued to tremble as she stared at the man in disbelief.
In the end, she laughed excitedly.
It was exactly the same as the young man in her impression. He was still as cold, as frivolous, and as fearless as before. This was the #1 person in Resplendent Academy, the person she had once looked down on, the person who had dominated Qingzhou, Lin Ling.
He had returned.
The old man had undoubtedly sensed the emotions of the people on the street.
Who was this person? Why did he cause such a huge reaction?
This person did not seem to be afraid of the school of theology at all.
What was his background? Sir, aren't you being too unfair by sneaking an attack on me? If you have the ability, fight me fair and square. The old man's wrist was still being held, and he spoke sarcastically. He knew that Lin Ling was indeed extraordinary, but he believed that Lin Ling had only sneaked an attack on him. Otherwise, he would have defeated Lin Ling.
An unfair victory? Lin Ling looked indifferently at the old man, and the corners of his mouth curled into a mocking smile.
Did Lin Ling need to sneak an attack on a half-step saint?
Get lost. With a wave of his right hand, Lin Ling threw the old man away.
The old man's figure flew backward.
After he stopped, he rubbed his wrist, and he was somewhat surprised.
This man was too arrogant. He really dared to let go of him. Subsequently, the old man sneered. This man was too careless. He could make use of this opportunity to make him pay a heavy price.
Father.
At this moment, Lin Ling looked at his father excitedly.
He had not seen his father for many years.
You're tuning in to the Xueqi's Martial Arts Saga YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.